stuck in a hurricane. 'Cause everything around you just keeps on turning. I can see you searching for an escape. The fire in your heart, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Fire in your heart, it just keeps on burning. Don't worry, you got the future on your mind. No hurry, let's take it one day at a time. Feeling like you're stuck in a hurricane. 'Cause everything around you just keeps on turning. I can see you searching for an escape. The fire in your heart, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Keeps on, it just keeps on burning. Fire in your heart, it just keeps on burning. Don't worry, you got the future on your mind. No hurry, let's take it one day at a time. Don't worry, you got the future on your mind. No hurry, let's take it one day at a time. Don't worry, you got the future on your mind. No hurry, let's take it one day at a time.
And they can't get rid of the IS4. Adelaide Action X, they're doing it. They set the trap, and it's working to an absolute T.
They are hard shots to take, but at the end of the day, it comes down to 10 shots, focus fire, and the Wolverines just outdid them on this one.
Good damage from the Scorpions, but I don't think it's enough. I think Matildas walk away with the win from here. They've got a 4-on-3. He missed the shot! Catherine, 57 HP, and Madhouse now has a corpse to play hull down behind. This is so scary. Returned and Dell are sitting ducks. Scorpions are winning this fight. They are slowly but surely getting their way back into this game. But damage ammo ranking in E100.
Oh no!
Has been completely ignored, and another fire
Sentinels are about to be your champions of Season 5. There they go!
Well, coming hot off the back of a wonderful week too. Cthulhu, we're back for a third week in a row, of course. It's the ANZ Prem League for World of Tanks here in Split 1 in 2023. And look, that hype reel every single time gets you right in the mood. But, I mean, coming off of last week, we've set a bit of a stage for ourselves here this split.
Look, yeah, there's been quite a phenomenal, honestly, beginning to the split, with the Matildas coming out swinging, with some of the upsets coming around, with some of the more wilder strats being adapted left, right, and center. Look, this has been already quite a very fruitful season for us to bear witness.
And look, speaking of fruitful, let's have a look at last week, of course, and see just how fruitful that was for three of our teams. It was a hell of a week, Cthulhu. It was exciting stuff to be sitting here casting. We started things off with the Matildas picking up their second win of the season over the Sentinels, no less. Then map 2, it was Perth Panthers taking on the Wellington Wolverines, a 4-0 sweep. And then to round it out, we got the Benny Hill music pumping with a bit of raspberry ring around the rosy as the South Sydney Scorpions took down Adelaide Action X on Himmelsdorf. We had some heater series last week.
Oh, yeah. Last week was just absolute nail-biters, left, right, and center. Honestly, it's been great to see Matildas to rise up to the greatness that they did. I mean, now with only a few more matches left, they are getting closer and closer to having what almost could be titled as the flawless run within the regular season. But obviously after that, things could get rather interesting once we do get to the playoffs. Regardless of that, though, for Action X, though, I want to highlight things definitely looked quite rough for them. But it was on during one of the weeks that CJ was absent as well. So without sort of that core figure, things definitely looked a little bit rough there for the AX squad.
Well, let's have a look at how things are sitting currently. Heading into tonight's matches, of course, the standings. The Matildas up in top, but only leading by a single point at the moment. They beat out the North Sydney Sentinels and the South Sydney Scorpions. You gotta love it. Both sides of that Sydney coin. And then, of course, Adelaide Action X and Perth Panthers also sitting on 3 points alongside the Scorpions. And then the Wellington Wolverines, unfortunately, all the way down at the bottom, they are sitting well clear of everyone else. But it puts them in an interesting position, Cthulhu. They have that opportunity to play spoiler for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, we've already seen some rather unusual strats to come out from Wolverines. I'm expecting, if not today, then by the next week, we could see some absolutely unhinged stuff there from them. But in terms of the rest of the competition, look, I'm looking forward to this because we still haven't yet settled in with the whole idea with that Matildas are currently sitting on the top of the leaderboard, and it's still a singular hiccup. Even just going into the tiebreaker could be the reason for them to fall off from the first place into the second place. So Sentinels are well and truly still able to claim themselves the first place.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the Magic leaderboard, of course. No name dropping here whatsoever. But okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Magic Shells, Cthulhu. This guy is fantasy dynamite. He is hitting some amazing shots. He's putting up some very, very impressive numbers. I mean, for a debutant here in the PL, this is phenomenal stuff.
Oh, this has been an amazing season already for him, especially in the situation that Matildas were put against Scorpions, against Sentinels. He managed to make the best out of it. And the sheer abundance of farming that he was able to procure has been just phenomenal. On top of the fact that you also have, pardon me, I'll just wrap it up here as well in a moment. But you do have an amazing roster that also was able to back him up. So it's not in case of Magic Shells. Yes, he is an absolutely phenomenal farmer, but there's a phenomenal team right behind him as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, especially night and day compared to last season for them.
Oh, yeah.
But look at it tonight, of course, we have some more epic matches lined up as we looked across the halfway mark of the single round robin. Melbourne Matildas take on Adelaide Action X map 1. That is going to be an absolute heater. I'm super excited for it. Match 2, Wellington Wolverines taking on the South Sydney Scorpions. And again, it's about denying grounds, denying points. A win looking less than likely, but I mean, you take a point away, you force the tiebreaker, puts the South Sydney Scorpions in a rather interesting position, and then rounding it out, of course, the North Sydney Sentinels versus the Perth Panthers to round it out. Cthulhu, I'd ask you which the match of the evening is going to be, but I think we well and truly know who it is going to be. And looking at our predictions, to be fair, I went with you. I was on the same page as you, Cthulhu. I'm not going to talk about our less than expressed co-caster Alfish and his prediction of the Action X, but break it down for us. Is there a chance that the Action X do walk away with that victory?
Honestly, I still think that, yeah, Action X still very much have a very solid chance to come out with a victory, because with Action X, they have the experience, they have the roster that was able to pull off some absolutely maddening upsets previously. Unfortunately, yeah, look, last week definitely seen them in the, by far, one of the arguably lowest of the lows, really, in the recent days. So I think the Action X squad can absolutely still pull a win here and upset the Matildas. Whereas on the side of Matildas, look, they are on a hot streak. If they can finish up the matchup here with a win, this will mean that the chances for them to make to the very first seed going into the playoffs are going to be even higher than ever.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. Right now, production, Cthulhu, they have faith in the Wellington Wolverines, and as Kiwis, we have faith, but we also are grounded a bit in reality. What would it take? Let's indulge production, Cthulhu. What would it take? What would it take for the Wolverines to take a victory over the South Sydney Scorpions?
Okay, so it would take probably one technical difficulty on the side of Scorpions, one ammo wreck straight on 2 over the rounds, and at least one RNG-based sort of non-pen. So we're looking at all of that, all on the side of sort of going in favor of Wolverines and against Scorpions. So look, there's definitely things are all stacking up so far against Wolverines, as much as I hate to say it, but look, I'm gonna say this though. At least I'm loving to see what sort of absolutely maddening strats that they've been bringing out, that they've been rolling with.
Well, enough of the nonsense. We're not going to indulge production any longer. Let's head into it. Our first matchup of the evening, the Melbourne Matildas taking on the Adelaide Action X. In this roster, the Melbourne Matildas coming into the season off the back of last season, no one would have called it that they were sitting top of the table, end of the second play day. Now coming into play day number 3, you look at the bad boy bubbles. Magic Shells is an absolute demon. An absolute steal for a 3-star as well. Ravioli al dente. Spencer, Joatora, Bolognese and Whippet. These guys have just made magic happen starting off the season. Now the question is, can they keep that run going?
Look, they definitely have the opportunity for that. I mean, the roster that they have introduced has been absolutely great. Interesting to see that Bubbles is not playing today, or at least off the back of the webcams, but I'm sure that maybe eventually we'll see him introduced. Joe Torre as well, being a very talented player himself for Matildas, having a good amount of ANZPL experience, plus having a good chemistry between himself and Whippet already over the time, should be able to introduce some really interesting plays. Meanwhile, on the side of Action X, though, look, it's a roster of absolutely grizzled veterans.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see old Ravioli last week rip the shirt as he was pretty stoked, popping off. Who on this team, Cthulhu, for the Action X, who's your shirt ripper here?
Look, I think the closest one to be the shirt ripper will be either Trax or Donga, really, seeing as they would be the ones to be one of the more emotional ones in all the better reasonings. But look, looking at this lineup, I'm thinking Action X have a very solid opportunity here to really steal away the thunder of Matildas. But Ghost Town, Ruenberg, Himmelsdorf, I'm looking forward to this one, because look, Rimberg already showed us some rather curious plays already, whether it's ANZPL or BL. And for Ghost Town, look, it's a staple map now at this point, and Action X have a pretty good idea as to how to play it.
Yeah, look, I can imagine that maybe the Panthers probably not too keen on this map lineup. Obviously, they've had some interesting times with Ghost Town, but for the Matildas and Action X, it definitely is going to be a rather interesting one. But, I mean, Ruenberg obviously feeling quite popular with its introduction to this season.
Yeah, Ruenberg, it's still a little bit of a question mark, honestly, for me for now, because of just how fast-paced it has been throughout the first two playdays.
Cthulhu, fast-paced. Speaking of, let's get into it. We've dawdled. We've dawdled. It's uncharacteristic. We've dawdled. We're getting straight into the Ghost Town to start things off. Production's in my ear. I'm in trouble. We're in trouble. But Cthulhu, you know what else is going on? Get your predictions going in chat. Have had a pretty phenomenal run so far. We'll see if they can carry it on here and into it already. Looking to find some action. Ghost Town always proves to be interesting.
Oh yeah, Ghost Town has been absolutely phenomenal in terms of the action that we could get here. And I mean, looking at the lineups as well, it is looking to get even more exciting. I mean, you're looking at the Matildas, the introduction of quite a chunky lineup. I mean, the Mouse, the E100, introducing the Eskong that can sometimes even pack quite a fair bit of HP himself. Whereas on the side of Action X, the choice to bring in the more of a sort of a clip DPS with the two T57s heavies.
Yeah, look, there's been a bit of talk about the T57 heavies, and we're seeing a lot of it. So I would imagine, I wouldn't be surprised at all in the coming weeks if we see more of it. Still, obviously, a lot of fans of the T57 coming into it. Already Action X pushing themselves, and CJ just skirting that line, playing off the back of Wendy. So it is just a bit of posturing in through the mid. They've got 2 tanks on the point at the moment, but this is quite a standard approach. We're probably going to see a brawl soon.
Yeah, it is definitely a setup for a very big brawl. I am a little bit curious about Joe Torres' choice to go to the one line with the 277 because he won't really have any sort of positions for the crossfire, but it's more so assuming that it was just initially a setup for the strat, but we are looking to get underway for the play. Curious how will Magic Shells be able to approach this because he is at the front line. He is posing himself against Rowendy and CJ in the IS-4 and E100 respectively. And yeah, look, both of these tanks can be an absolute pain to really deal with, especially when you are loading just only APCRs.
Well, Mouse, the Mouse of Bolognese, rather, is going to take some early damage. Randy is tickled, I think, would probably be the most apt description at the moment, given the HP that he's lost. But Whippet, he's looking to come in and try and do some damage as he's gearing up with Joe Atora as well. They're looking to try and pinch in from the side and deny this play. You look at the progress, 17 seconds, and they're going to have to try and get the resets here. Magic Shell's not going to be farming the points, but the reset does come through, back to 42 seconds on the clock. And all of a sudden, the deep T57's holding off the cross. Matilda's not going to be able to find that angle into never mind, they're going to commit to the full-on Brawl Cthulhu. They're pushing in through mid.
Yeah, this is a perfect opportunity here because the T57 heavies are currently all clipped out, so this is a perfect opportunity to isolate, get rid of Rowendy, and he's one shot away. CJ needs to either clear him, be able to body block some of the shots, but instead Rowendy is looking to become the hold down position for CJ, and that is actually going to be perfect. Right now, nice sort of trade so far going on because Joe Atora, Atora's 277 for the IS-4 is a decent choice.
Yeah, but CJ is not much longer for the world. But there you go. Action X do find that follow-up kill, the second so far. Magic and Joe Atora out. Now we're down to the 3 versus 3. The health pool favouring Action X at the moment. The shots coming through. Whippet's in trouble. It's all coming apart at the seams here, Cthulhu. The Action X crew. But Trax there in a bit of trouble. Does he go down? Yes, he will. Back to the 2 versus 2. Unfortunately, again, it's just a matter of sustainability. The health pool, oh boy. This could get dangerous for Action X. If they push up, isolate the fight onto Dongalord, they might be able to make this turnaround.
They might be able to, but Lightning Man is approaching very rapidly. Dongalord is clipping out once again, so that is going to be quite a chunky amount of HP. There's a finisher on Bolognese as well, so Ravioli, unfortunately, not for long in this place as well. And it is quite curious to see that at the end of it, once again, it's Lightning Man sort of being the one to clean house, to be able to really sort of wrap it all up and be able to get the win as we do get the interesting
void.
sort of view
The void.
there. The void. Yeah, the void that is Ravioli currently looking at.
Yeah, look, that does set an interesting precedent off the rip, the first round. Not going Melbourne Matilda's way. I mean, it was a decent enough start, but unfortunately those 2 T57s cutting off the rotate, denying Joe Atora and Whippet, it just threw a spanner in the works of the Melbourne Matilda's defense. Is that potentially an indicator of how the series could go, Cthulhu?
Not the series yet, I reckon, but definitely how will the Ghost Town go, because it definitely feels like this is the comfort ground right now for Action X. Now that we have CJ back at the helm as well of that roster, it is looking to be a much more coordinated play, much more coordinated roster. They need to really do something absolutely horrendously wrong to let it all slip away, because at the pacing that they're going, look, they could absolutely upset the Matildas here pretty rapidly.
I mean, Action X did sort of have that energy last season. They were that upset team out of nowhere, just absolutely trouncing some of the Sentinels. I think they won every single series against Sentinels in the round robin last season. So who's to say that energy hasn't come back again? But it didn't feel like it was a complete blowout. It felt like it was a reasonably close round on the whole. It was just for some reason Action X were the ones to come out on the better end of these trades.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, looking at the results here, Donga and Lightning Man going absolutely ballistic there, 4K each, really showing the absolute, well, stunning performance, really. The beauty as well of the T57 Heavy as well, I've highlighted it previously as well, is the how quick the clip reload can be. I believe it's just slightly over 20 seconds, which allows you to really back away quickly, reload, get those shells prepared, and then you can pump out another. I believe it will be on average about 1,200 damage, if not more. So you could do some really, really big damage. Whereas the S-Conk, I mean, for Lightning Man, it's been a very interesting dynamic as well, because generally speaking, you would be playing the S-Conk at the front line, in the same position where magic shells would usually be. But in Lightning Man's play, in Lightning Man's case, he's always there as that sort of almost a sniping support, where he is able to really output some absolutely just nuts amounts of damage.
And we got to see that plus the highlight of the T57s and the power that they brought. I mean, Donga and Track single-handedly shut down Joatora and Whippet's rotate. And Joatora was farmed. He was absolutely farmed in that engagement. He was the first one to die because they were just sitting there pumping rounds into him. There was next to nothing that they could do. They clipped the engine as well. It was just every single thing that could have gone wrong there for the Matildas seemingly fell into place and allowed Action X to capitalize. And you love to see it. They played this so very, very well on the attack, but can they emulate the same thing on the defense?
I reckon they might be able to. I mean, they've played quite a fair bit of the Ghost Town back in the previous season, so they would have full knowledge of how to do it. Whereas, remembering Matildas even back when it was a completely different roster, the only difference being is that, well, Joatora and Whippet were the only two remaining from that old remnants of the roster. They, even back then, really had a bit of a struggle with how to really approach this map, because it really requires you a really huge amount of that sort of micromanagement whilst you're already going into the brawl. It needs to be a very concentrated play, a very concentrated brawl, and against the lineup that AX brought in, it was already quite a tall order, so each and every shell basically mattered.
And look, the other big part of that, I would imagine, is try not let magic shells go down so early. We know what he can do when he has that. You know, you just give him free reign in the round, and he survives as long as possible, just pumps out that damage. Unfortunately, just having to commit to the brawl that early was down very quickly. And Cthulhu, look, Whippet's back at it again. We see the 50B coming in for him, but looking at the Action X lineup, same set of tanks coming into the defense as well. They're really liking these T57s.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not one of those tanks that I would openly endorse, just because apart from the DPM, nothing really much else really goes for them. So for maps like Ghost Town, those are actually quite perfect because you don't really need to move around too much. In Whippet's case here, look, he's basically taking just a upscaled Batchat 25T to go for a very ambitious play on. I'm hoping, it's not the hill. So he's just bolting straight to the K1, and then go up the one line to have some sort of a crossfire position from the 1-2 ridge. So, look, not per se a bad idea, but it's definitely the one tank that I wouldn't expect to see happen on Ghost Town.
Interesting. I just noticed Joe was subbed out into this round. Bubbles back into the lineup playing the Super. He's the first one to take some damage, unfortunately. Ruindy connecting the shot there. Unfortunate, up that 7 line, it was not quite the fight that you're looking for, especially taking that much damage. You now 2 points of health separate both teams. Any advantage that was there for the Matildas is now gone, and just further depleted, as Ravioli al dente as well is going to cop some shots. So Whippet, if he's going to get himself something, he's going to have to get quick. But you can see he's just moving up on that A4 position. Could be fighting Lightning Man any minute now.
Might just be able to spot him before, but instead it's actually a perfect flank here, starting to farm up. Not spotted either. Whippet is actually able to get himself a really nice chunk of damage. Unfortunately, the last 2 shells not really landing where he wanted, but it's just about enough to force CJ to start moving around. Lightning Man is starting to move in for the response as he is able to also spot Whippet finally. But the damage has been already done, really. The much needed distraction has happened. So right now for Whippet, that's the best case here scenario, to just fall back a little bit, to get into the defensive position, be prepared to receive the crossfire.
A lot of talking, a lot of chat out of the Matildas. Laser focused right now, and there we go. Moving in onto that 2 flag. They're going to start applying that pressure, start working towards the win condition. A lot slower of an approach compared to that last round. Cthulhu, we're not seeing that all-out brawl collapse after the first couple of minutes, and they're slowly working. Magic Shells in position on the mouse to try and capitalise on this time. The 2-cap coming in, and surely the collapse has to come any moment now from Action X.
Yeah, and it seems like Ravioli might actually be the first one on the receiving end here. With the both T57s and the E100 coming around, they might just be able to absolutely full send it. Whippet will need to rendezvous, and that is exactly what he's doing right now. So both teams fully realizing that this is where the battle is about to start. And, well, with CJ already being spotted, same as, I believe, no, but Whippet is yet to be spotted. But this is going to be a very rough time, because both Ball and the E100 sorry, not even E100, the mouse of Magic Shells, they will have a very rough time here on the cap.
Yeah, just shots pummeling into the side of them, and Mouse of Magic Shells just positioning itself to give some front line to Bolognese. That's big damage dealt back to Trax at the very least, but unfortunately those reset shots have come through. They've now got to commit to that brawl, because I don't think it's likely they're going to get the time that they're looking for to try and make a play here. And Bolognese, that's a building, buddy. Need to go a little bit wide. He's going to swing around. He's going to spot big information there. Going to line up some big shots, but takes just as much punishment on his own. Where's Whippet? What flank can he find here? Because in that 50B, he could do a lot. He's going to hook left, I think. Yeah, he's going to try and wrap around. If he's going to find the back, Magic Shell, as he's farming those points again, Cthulhu finds the first kill of the round. Wow, Whippet's going to find a real power position here. They have no idea that he's flanked in from the back. Trax is dead. CJ's in trouble. They just pump it away. It is a 3 versus 3 effectively, but you look at the overall health pools, and the Matildas are coming out on top. Whippet trying to thread the needle. Wow, that was a huge shot.
Huge shot indeed. With Lightning Man and Rowandy flanking around, they might just be able to finish off Magic Shells pretty promptly and generate a nice hold down position for themselves here. For Magic Shells, he wants to keep his teammates as alive as one can possibly be. Unfortunately, that is the finisher. Action X still very much in the game here. Bolognese needs to make sure that he nails the shot here. Does, in fact, and a low roll from Lightning Man will be unfortunately his demise.
That felt like a tactical assault maneuver where he used the building to adjust the angle a little bit better so he could get the shot in. Either way, it worked. He's still alive, and they've outgunned and outnumbered Rowendy, so they could push Bolognese up. In theory, they could just cut him off, but Rowendy's looking to play the rotate game. He's looking to cheekily get himself out. If Bolognese expends too much, they've spotted him. They need to get the shots in, but Whippet's going to wrap all the way around. Rowendy has to play a very careful game. This is getting eerily similar to that matchup we saw to end the play day last week. Cthulhu Raspberry on the run, but Rowendy's not finding the same success. He just tucks himself around the corner. Has the mobility still. Shots going back. Whippet's forced onto the reload with 2 minutes remaining.
That's still plenty of time right now for Whippet to go onto a reload. A singular clip will basically be the end of Rowendy here. So the IS4 player needs to make sure that he's playing his cards right. Bolting for that position. Whippet is 9 seconds away from a full reload and will have the HP to pull it all off. In comes the swing, and yeah, Rowandy, look, unless something absolutely horribly goes wrong and the APCRs keep on bouncing, things will get rather problematic. One more shot is what is needed, but Whippet unable to find the green spot to hit. That's the second shot. 2 more left, and there it is. There's the finisher from Bolognese.
Look, round 1 and 2, reasonably close there. We're not quite getting the shirt rip yet. It's a bit early for that from Ravioli, but you can see that both teams chat. No one looking. We're not seeing the elation that we've seen in previous week from these teams, but understandably, you trade rounds on the map. Ultimately, I think you're okay with that on Ghost Town. You're not going to be too upset. You both picked up a round win. It's still anyone's game, but there were moments where it felt like it could have spiraled out of control, but it didn't. Luckily for both these teams, Matildas in the second round, Action X in the first. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts? Ghost Town so far?
Look, a bit of a mixed bag, not gonna lie, especially for that second round. For Action X, it felt like they sort of fell apart there fairly quickly, despite the fact that their punish game was just phenomenal. Really, at the beginning of that game, when the pushes initially started, they were able to punish players like Bolognese, like Magic Shells in spades. I mean, we talking about being able to just absolutely punish a trade for 400/500 damage, and instead the return was about 950. So that was already quite a substantial one. Looking at the numbers though, Whippet was basically the game changer here. The 50B, the one that I've questioned the most, just like I questioned his TVP pick last week as well, ended up working out just absolutely perfectly. Whereas on the side of Action X, things definitely did not pan out as much as they wanted to. And going into Runeberg, the map that last time was unfortunately an absolute failure for them, one would be thinking that there's definitely going to be a few moments of doubt, really, on the side of AX.
I mean, the wild thing is you look at the stats and Whippet, most damage. He penned the second most shots for his team. 3,700 in terms of mileage. The guy literally wrapped around the entire map, came back in through the center, and just farmed up the points. It was a pretty impressive traversal of Ghost Town from him on this attack. But I mean, the fact that Action X felt like a couple of times there that they'd gotten the drop on the Matildas, and unfortunately to no avail, was it speaks volumes to what the Matildas are bringing in this season.
Absolutely so. I mean, even in terms of just this season in general, a lot of the rosters got to really, start exploring what they wanted to bring, what sort of lineup they could really experiment. I mean, we did see the wonderful pick from Wolverines, even with the introduction of the BZ75, which on paper has been great. But look, in reality, unfortunately, things did not look particularly too great.
Yeah, I mean, look, definitely interesting to see this matchup, and you'd look at the numbers, you'd be safe favouring the Matildas. I think coming into this matchup, I think everyone would be quite safe. But the Action X crew, in the history that we know that they have, that ability to pull out on the day and get those upsets, you always got to question it. Given how round one played out, that question is looking like it might be a bit of a possibility coming into this. And I mean, even that second round was still a reasonably close round. I think the score is justifiable rather in how we've seen this played out. It has been an insanely close matchup to start off.
Absolutely so. Absolutely. Look, I'm looking forward to see how will Runeberg really pan out, given how quick, how rapid it was on the side of Action X. Look, I'm still waiting for some of the more thorough strats on the Runeberg, given that it does provide quite a fair few positional games. But look, on the side of Matildas, they definitely set themselves up for potentially pushing in with a point advantage going into the first round of Runeberg.
Well, I mean, looking back at last week, and Runeberg again was a bit of a mixed bag for Action X. We saw them get absolutely pumped on it off the rip, just crossing those overexposed, they're looking through that EF line right now and getting shots pummeled at them. But already, wow, shots on. Bolognese taking a bit of strife for his team, and Whippet's bringing that 50B once again. I'm keen to see what the lads plan on doing here.
Exactly that. And on the side of Action X, though, no more of the T57 heavies. Instead, we are seeing full aggression with the IS7s and the 277s, full mobility play here.
Oh, boy.
For the Action X. And actually, well, it nearly worked out, but quite a fair bit of damage onto Dongalore. But Trax and CJ are actually full speed ahead, looking to absolutely bring in the damage. And Bolognese will be suffering at least one shot unless he pulls back.
They're trying to line things up here. Yeah, just shots being copped across the board by the Matildas, but luckily they're not going to go quietly. They're going to send shots back, giving as good as they take at the moment. Another late sub. The third sub so far tonight. Cthulhu Ravioli out Spencer 2018 in. So we're seeing a decent rotation of this roster. There you go. They're looking to commit over towards this two-flag position. They want to get up in the face of CJ, find some action, but the shot's only just starting to connect. Bolognese in a bit of trouble here with Joe supporting him. I don't think this is quite how the Matildas want this fight to be going.
Exactly so, yeah. CJ and the rest of the team set up a phenomenal play here with Lightning Man as well, playing just on that EF line where he's able to just hold down and be able to get the shots on a fair few really solid positions to shut down a lot of pushes. I mean, you look at Bolognese as well, 280 now HP remaining, 772 for Joatora, 979 for Magic Shells. This is all looking to fall apart very rapidly, and Action X are not backing away, and they got themselves into a perfect position, playing off the fact that Matildas gave away so much free real estate.
They backed themselves into a corner. In fact, Ruendi was able to freely come in from the back and go for that pinch. I mean, they just pushed themselves into the choke point here. There was nowhere to go. Whippet, he's off in the wings. Yeah, this was just an awful situations that Matildas forced themselves into. And I think maybe it speaks to the sides in terms of, you know, which ones are going to find more success. Because you look at the spawns that... it seems to be that spawn that Matildas have, the defensive spawn, that seems to go so horribly wrong.
Yeah, it certainly feels quite curious, to say the very least, how things really worked out there. For Matildas, yeah, look, I think a bit of an oversight, really, with their positionings, with the fact that they didn't account for the fact that, well, for Action X, they would just be able to provide such a wide coverage of the positions. And with the way how Runeberg as well set up, you can really hide behind those buildings if you are playing on the attack, where you have that cover from the middle, from the city side. Whereas on the side of the defense, you really need to be very cautious about how you really set it up. If you want to ensure that, well, your opponents on the defense won't really have that much of a leverage over your every minuscule position out on the hill, you really need to have some sort of a disruption going in the city. But even then, that means that you committing to at least one of the tanks out of the gunfight, and that proves to be absolutely impossible to really deal with. So that is basically the result of what happens when you commit to only just one line, whilst the rest of the team, or rather the opposite team, ends up expanding throughout the whole map.
Yeah, it's been a worrying trend that we've seen on Ruinberg. The defensive spawns, or the defensive side of the map, just can be such a brutal one to have to play into. But you look at the numbers across the board. Action X, it's a very impressive spread, honestly. They all put in some real work. The damage was all within a margin of what? At most about 600, 700. Whereas for the Matildas, yeah, once they'd backed themselves into that choke point, it was all over.
Yeah, look, really good cutout play by Action X. And I mean, Trax's and CJ's position was absolutely phenomenal. The way how it was played between them, and then the cover that was provided between Donga, what am I reading? Between Donga, Lightning Man, and Rowandy as well, from 3 different positions. They had an absolutely stunning positioning and stunning coverage. Whereas on the side of Matildas, they ended up cornering themselves, really. I think if they would have ended up sort of trying to push out towards the buildings around the G7, where they would have been able to just completely overpush, get the overmatch, completely wrap it all up, and get their finishes, I reckon they would have had the opportunity to have the victorious play. But again, look, sort of in the post-mortem, trying to figure out what would have been the win condition is the easier part, and it's a much more difficult part trying to figure it out on the go whilst being in the match. So look, still kudos for the attempt, but unfortunately, yeah, Runeberg on the defense doesn't seem to be the forte of Matildas.
I mean, not just that, you're also going from a double round robin competition to a single round robin competition. You don't have nearly as much time to sort of work out those issues. And yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Kithulu. Maybe a little bit more aggression in terms of positioning, just playing a little bit further spread down that 8-9-0 line. And I don't know, whatever the case may be, it just seems to be that defense is the real crux of the issue on Ruinberg. Attack has a lot more freedom, a lot more mobility. So we'll have to see. Matilda's now heading over to the attack. Do they have that same level of cohesion? Because you look at the positioning they're in right now. This is a 2-1 right now to AX, and the possibility that it could end up being a 3-1, we don't get to see the tiebreaker, is readily apparent.
Yeah, there's certainly opportunity to just wrap it all up right here, right now. Runeberg, certainly after being a bit of a washout in the last week, certainly is a much more polished piece here by Action X, so they're looking to really wrap it all up in a very prominent manner, despite what was quite a back and forth of a ghost town. This one seems to be very, very much under their control.
Yeah, I mean, big takeaways from round 1. Don't get caught in a choke point. Don't all sit in the same spot, because you're going to find yourself in trouble. And already,
the 50B.
Yeah, the 50B, that's going to be Whippet. There's no doubt in my mind that is Whippet just streaking away, looking for an angle to do some damage, because Well, surprise, surprise, Cthulhu, it is, of course. And another rotation, Spencer out, Ravioli back in. A lot of changes for the side of the Matildas, but Action X going for a bit of a change of their own. The double VZ55 lineup coming in, and wow, shots already connecting. This is looking a bit bleak for the Matildas.
Straight from the get-go, Action X, like I said, once again presenting us with a very polished piece here in terms of how they really be able to set themselves up. They're fully realizing that there is going to be a flank coming around from behind as well, so they are adjusting their positions to be able to use the buildings to be able to provide some cover from behind. And in terms of Matildas, look, they did not really play into their mobility too well, despite the fact that they have the whole city really to play for themselves. They could have established some positioning at the middle as well. Those F5 positions with the hold down spots are absolutely magical at times. So look, without them being utilized at all and only Whippet being able to play from behind, things could definitely take a turn for the Warriors here for Matildas.
I think the choice has been made to commit to the brawl. They don't really have the outnumber. Whippet doesn't have the angle he's looking for. Magic Shells is already backing up, not realizing I think that Trax is that close, tucked in, ready for the shots, and they need to all swing onto him right now. Cthulhu, they're going to do the damage, but there we go, finally finished off. Magic claims more fantasy points for himself, much needed up to that last round, and now the collapse, the full brawl coming out from Action X, and Donga, and he's making some magic happen here, playing from range. Where's Whippet? What damage can he do? They've still got the 5 tanks up, which is working for the Matildas, but the health is bleeding. Donga's about to fall, and it's a 5 versus 3. Make that a 4 versus 3 somehow, and it's ring around the rosy. We saw this out of the Scorpions last week. They're just biding time so that Whippet can get in and get some damage out. 3 versus 3. This is looking bleaker and bleaker, but the health pool gap is closing. Bolognese, he's facing up, looking to try and find the shots. Rawendi blocked out. They need to connect onto him. The 2 versus 2 needs to be made a reality, but it's just not happening. CJ's pumping up the damage. Joe's in a rough spot. Whippet, there's nothing he can do. He's just going to have to sit and watch as his teammate falls.
Yeah, Joe Torres is only 1 shot away, and CJ will be the one to finish him off. Joe Torres out. Whippet now needing to figure out what is he doing here, because, yeah, look, against Lightning Man with an ammo rack as well, this is all but done and dusted. For Action X, this is a magical return to form, whereas for Matildas, a very downfall. The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Okay, I have a theory now. The Action X top dog buff. Last season, they were able to absolutely smoke the Sentinels, the top dog in the competition. Now we've come into the new season, Matildas are the new top dogs, and Action X has transferred the buff from Sentinels to Matildas. That's the only way I can justify what we just saw, because Action X just seemed to find the magic when it comes to the top seed.
Absolutely. Look, that was a spectacular turnout here for Action X. The way how they were able to completely lock out so many positions, so many gunfights, and punish Matildas for just trying to basically pull off what Matildas did back in even last season. I mean, you remember the ye old Siegfried line special from Matildas back in the concluding season of 2022, Panda, where we would see just continuous full sends all together, trying to bunch up, and that's where they ended up getting circled and completely, well, forfeiting their lives there, really. You look at Action X, the way how they've provided coverage for so many positions whilst also managing their general positioning has worked out, again, flawlessly. I mean, you're looking at CJ, almost 5k damage accumulated, then Lightning Man following with nearly 3k, and then the rest of the team able to pitch in onto the whole play. And even with Donga sitting on 1300 damage, he still was able to make it one of the more impactful ones.
I only caught the tail end of that because I'm seething right now. I am absolutely molding. Cthulhu, Jordan was right. Jordan called it right. And my disappointment is immeasurable right now. But no, look, props to Action X. They played some phenomenal tanks. They absolutely dominated Ruinberg. That cannot be understated. I mean, you look at Ghost Town, even as you could get pretty much across the board, and then you come into Ruinberg. And the fact that even that second round there, it was a 5v3 at one point, and Action X still managed to pull it back and win.
Yeah. No, yeah, Action X. The beauty of the lineup that Action X actually presented there is that they still had two Super Conquerors, and with two S-Kongs being present, it allows for so much of that DPM potential, and the fact that they still managed to keep those tanks fairly nice and healthy. I mean, you look at that 2.3k for Lightning Man. It did drop down to 1300 for CJ, but even then, amidst all of those brawls, he was still able to stay fairly well positioned. Meanwhile, you look at Matilda's, they lost 3k HP before they even engaged in the brawl, and that's where the crux of the problems was, because you now subtract the 3k from Action X. Before that matchup, it would have been a completely different name of the game, but look, it is what it is for them. For Action X, though, it is a glorious day. And look, yes, I've predicted for Matilda's to win, and that was off the back of the hype train that they ended up building up off the back of the first 2 weeks. At this point, I'm happy. I'm happy that Action X managed to get back on their feet. It was a rough gig for them at the beginning of the last week, and well, this really puts them back into the race.
Yeah, look, it's exciting. You know, the last thing you want is just that one team running away with the comp. Yeah, thank you very much for that production. Well, look, yeah, they got it. I think that's the only one they're getting. They're definitely huffing hard on that copium right now. I'm not holding out a lot of hope for the other two picks because I'll give them what they got, but that's where the leeway ends. I can only give them so much to work with. But look, you love to see it. Like I said, the last thing you want is one team running away with the competition, it being a one-horse race the entire time. You want to see that closeness. You want to see that competition. The last thing you want is to go into a LAN final knowing who's going to win it. Spice it up. Spice is variety is the spice of life at the end of the day. So it's huge. You know what else is huge? The man, the myth, the legend himself, CJ, coming in. First things first. How dare you make Jordan write the predictions for one? And two, in all seriousness, run us through it. Ghost Town was a reasonably close affair on the whole. Ruinberg couldn't have been anything further from the truth. What was the game plan coming into today, CJ?
We just kind of wanted to reset after last week. I think last week we were kind of a bit disappointed we lost. We know we could have definitely taken that. So I think we just went back to the drawing board and, reconsidered, how do we want to play out the rest of our season? How do we want to play out the rest of our strategies? And yeah, we kind of found what we like with the 57s on Ghost Town, and we've kind of just, made our style.
Fair enough. Look, I mean, going against Matilda specifically, was it more so a case of just polishing your own playstyle and your own gameplay, or was it at least partially leaning towards counter-stratting, trying to figure out what could Matildas really bring against you guys, and then sort of building up your approach from there? Because, I mean, looking back at the Ruinberg, that was an absolute clinic from you guys where you had so much positioning already preemptively set up.
Look, I'll be real. That Ruinberg attack we've never practiced before. That was just, something we just figured out last minute. That could possibly work. But yeah, I think we took a little bit of consideration into what Matildas are gonna do, because we've seen through previous seasons and just how Whippet likes to call. He generally does blob a little bit more and does play quite aggressive with his pushes. So I think we played into that a little bit. But mostly, we just wanted to work our own game.
Well, we've looked at the in-game aspects. We, talked about the nitty-gritty of it all. Can you talk us through this, the Action X voodoo, so to speak? You're buff out of nowhere against the top echelon teams in the competition. You take down the Sentinels last season. You absolutely monster Matildas this season. Who is it in the back line that's working the magic to make these teams fall?
At the moment, this season, it's Trax. Trax is doing most of the calling for this season. But yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, we just have this weird voodoo. Like, we can't touch Scorpions, but every other team, I don't know, we can just do wonders against sometimes. It's weird.
Well, it was a wonder, CJ. It was absolutely awesome to see you guys pull out a huge victory there. I'll hand it over to you. Anyone you'd like to shout out before we let you head off?
Hey, my boys in Action X. I know, we struggle sometimes, but we pulled through today, and I couldn't be happier.
It was great to have you here, CJ. We look forward to seeing more of you in the future.
Thanks.
Well, Cthulhu, it's no longer the reign of terror from the Matildas. They've finally been blown out of the sky, and it was Adelaide Action X of all teams to do it. It's the voodoo, man. They just have this groovy voodoo when it comes to the top tier team in the competition, and I don't know where it ends. Where does it end? Who is going to break the spell of Action X? It's impossible to tell. But Matildas is this that, villain arc starting up for them? They've had success. They get knocked down again. You got to feel for the remaining teams in the competition. They've got to verse the Panthers, and the Wolverines might be in a bit of trouble in the last couple of weeks of play.
Yeah, look, there's definitely quite still some danger for the Panthers and Wolverines, and as Matildas still stay quite a dangerous entity at large. So I think the race is far from being over for them. Yes, the opportunity for the first place to finish up with the going into the playoffs is certainly starting to dwindle, given that, it would take for Sentinels to lose outright one of the games. But apart from that, look, it's certainly still going to be a very exciting set of playoffs, I'll tell you as much.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm super excited. It's looking like it's going to be in a heater. But Cthulhu, right now we're throwing it to a break. When we come back, unfortunately, the newcomers, the trial by fire does continue for the Wellington Wolverines. After the break, they come back and take on the South Sydney Scorpions. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Oh, we start off the rip, and already movement, action. High intensity. You love it. Oh, boy. Yeah, and already Wymo's spotted. He's taken some big damage, and he's well out in the open. That's not a great spot to be in.
Look where Whippet is. Ay.
And Sentinels are just bleeding damage. Look, they're getting shots in their own right, but they're already a player down. It's not at all going the way they expected. Joe Torres take a big damage. 1,000 off the health pool, and Magic will finish off Cindy Cthulhu. It's all coming together. The Melbourne Matildas in this attacking round have just pulled apart, read into Sentinels play, and Wymo is just fishing. He's looking for anything, and he's unfortunately just going to have to reback that hook because nothing's biting at the moment.
Would have been a problem to deal with as well, and Joe Toro would have not survived. Yeah, there we go. Oh my god.
Well, unfortunately for Dell, in my fantasy points, he's being ganged up on here. Magic Shells is going hunting, and unfortunately Dell is the prime target right now.
The problem being right now is Speed will have the upper hand on Bubbles. The DPM is just too good from the S-Conk, and whilst, he will be still coming out with about just a K of damage, Bubbles will be going down in 1 or 2 more shots.
But the thing is, Bubbles wasted so much time, so if Matildas can reposition and get those shots off, Bolognese in his Super Conk is at a huge amount of trouble, but Cindy. And now all guns are turned. Ravioli seems to be the target of choice. They're going to finish him off finally. A 2 versus 2. The health bar is still there for the Matildas somehow. Cthulhu, they've got the advantage, and Wymo's in trouble. Ravioli's isolated his fight, and the return can't support. Magic Shells is going to be able to farm up Wymo. They might be in trouble, but realistically, this should be all Matildas. This should be the 2-0 they're hunting for. My God, no one would have called that. No one except production. Who would have thought they were the big brains tonight, Cthulhu?
And here we were saying that it was copium all along, but yeah, look, I gotta give kudos. Matilda's definitely performed excellently here.
Quite happy to just sit here and fight.
Dell is currently about to start farming over the ridge, and that is exactly the play from Matildas really here, is just overpush, go into the dip, try to isolate themselves from the absolute DPM machine that is the Stritzvan 103B, try to get rid of Cindy, but right now this is an excellent start here for Sentinels, and exactly that.
Oh, the spread unfortunately is going to be the end of Bolognese. They're very exposed right now, and Ravioli al dente not soon to follow. This is not ideal. It's not great. And well, Joe Toro, wow, what a shot from Wymo to finish off the round. He might be in the bin in just a second if he's not careful. 500 HP and a dream. He's gone. Wymo, the sniper, the man himself. It's that dad buff, man. The guy is he's unlocked his full mental capacity.
We already have one of the tanks down. Matildas are suffering some heavy losses, and return should still be able to farm up just a perfect storm here.
Can they do it? The brawl is coming. 13 seconds. They're winning this, Cthulhu. They just need to get the resets off, and this could be a Matilda's round potentially. But it's a mad dash towards the objective. No, that camo, it might just be enough. The Stritzvan and the T100 will get it out. No resets to come through. And the Sentinels will equalise. And Cthulhu, we're going to Cliff. Would you believe it? You can see the wraparound. Four members of the Matildas. This is the full send play. They're committing. Bolognese in trouble. The shots are ringing out. Dell in trouble as well. The 50 down immediately. And it's going to be Matildas to claim first blood. Bolognese, he's still bleeding the health. Wymo taking some big damage. It's all up in the air. If they can get Wymo out, this could be it. Bubbles, he's just coming in from the back lines. That CS, the mobility. Wymo's in trouble. The shots are on. They've isolated him now. It's neck and neck overall. Wymo's got 32. They've completely womped out the return. This might be the Matildas ice up that they've been looking for. Wymo's in trouble. Bubbles is still there up in his face. Somehow Cthulhu, Magic Shells and the Matildas might just pull this one out. Rainbow just the last alive against
What
three.
is happening?
Cthulhu, the 3-2 is going to go the way of the Matildas. As we load on into things, the Wolverines, you can see them right now, ready and ripping, looking to get into it. Yeah, I mean, they're looking for the overmatch, but all of a sudden they pull back. It's just too tentative right now. Oh, that's rough for Madhouse. He's not in a good spot right now. This is starting to come apart for the Panthers. And this immovable object of the double mouse setup is there. Toddy, yes, he's taking some damage. So is Mudguard, but they're still not in the spot that they want. All of a sudden, the momentum's starting to shift. It feels like Solitarian's too deep. The three-man push up, and it's going to be Sir Robin that actually claims first blood. God mode down in his E100. Bleed starts once again for the Wolverines. 3 players remaining, unfortunately.
Flaming is about to fall 2 shots shy off the fall, and won't be able to finish off Twit as well. So Twit will have the finishing damage here. Soltarian is the last man standing.
This is not the ideal situation. There's a dead tank in front of Madhouse. The mouse has come back to haunt them. Cthulhu. Oh, that is absolute heartbreak for the Wolverines.
They didn't spot him. They don't know. No. Panda, Wolverines might have been actually what initially looked like the smoothest brain performance that they could have done. Actually, they might just be able to have the biggest brain play here. Completely outflanking the IS-4 in the E100. They might just be able to just jump on a 3-cap, but instead Sir Robin actually drops off. Forge B still has the position. Wait, they might actually be able to take full control of the D-line as well.
That could cost them ultimately in the end. You can see the fight starting. Toddy here, like I said, he's been left hung out to dry. He's going to go down freely to Crit. Oh, but Crit could be the difference maker here. Look at them. They're body blocking for Flaming right now. They're all trying to get in position to allow Flaming to cap this right now, but Crit coming in from the back and Twit on the flank as well. One shot is going to spell disaster here for the Wolverines, and they do. The reset comes through. And Cthulhu, I think that might just be it for the Wolverines on Himmelsdorf. Their gambit does not pay off.
Yeah, look, I'm not too sure yet what to make of this whole conundrum, which is basically the only way to really describe this.
Slowly working their way up towards that 2 flag at the moment. Wow. So Robin just instantly demolished their player down. He sends a shot, looking at JS, trying to shut him down, but he's been spotted. And again, the team shots comes through perfectly. And
the rest of the team, though, they should be able to wrap it all up. There's not much else really to mention.
Well, we're going to jump on into the final round of this matchup. Cthulhu, the Panthers 3-0. So regardless of the result, they are walking away with the victory tonight. But, I mean, the Panthers just, again, not overcommitting. They know full well they've got the win in the bag, but they are playing their game. They're playing it smart. They're not losing that discipline. And they get the damage out. They're pumping away at a Madhouse, still holding on for the moment. Well, look, the 2 lighter tanks are coming in to get involved. And, well, Toddy's dead. Now it's just Mudguard and Robin. Cthulhu, a 4-0 for the Panthers here in their Week 2 series. Well, Cthulhu Action X do what would have been considered unthinkable coming into today, and Matilda's knocked off their perch once again, and I do actually believe that would then push Action X currently into the first seat temporarily. It might change, we don't know. But we do now head to our second matchup of the evening, and this one, look, Production and Jordan got their freebie. They got their freebie. I think Jordan's going to get this one right anyway because he went Scorpions for Production. The Copium ends. The supply. The tank is empty. Wolverines taking on the Scorpions. And the Wolverines, look, it is just unfortunate. It's never an easy situation stepping up into this new competition. Toddy, Flaming, Mudguard, Sir Robin, AVP, Soltarian, and Saxon. We're never going to have an easy run stepping into PL. But unfortunately, it just does not get easier tonight.
Yeah, look, things been quite rather rough for Wolverines, and I would love to see them, start performing. I would love to see them start pulling out the wins, but unfortunately, today is going to be very much of a David and Goliath matchup against a roster that is Scorpions. It is always going to be quite a difficult one. So here, they just want to make sure that they just nailing their performance. They need to make sure that they ironing out their own gameplay before starting to counterplay and strat their opponents. They still have some opportunities to get themselves into the top 5, but at this point, look, things could definitely get quite rough. The one thing that still feels like a bit of an unresolved sort of storyline that I wish would have came to fruition a whole lot earlier is the fact that for Wolverines, it is a roster that has played together outside of the ANZPL, outside of the BL as well, in some of the other in the clan wars and some of the other activities as well. So look, it's a roster that on paper should have had at least some partial success, but so far it's been very much of a hit and miss.
Yeah, look, I think, again, in a situation where expectations are low, no one's expecting them to come in and blow the competition away and take first seed going into the playoffs. But at this stage, they're more likely just going to be playing spoiler as best they can. Any victory they can take, any rounds they can take, in reality, is just going to be a huge boon for them. But, I mean, look, because in this situation, going up against the Scorpions, what are you telling yourself coming into this matchup? Because it is the Scorpions. They've been second fiddle for the longest time. In fact, they finished the round robin last season in first seed going into playoffs, and we saw what a powerhouse these guys could be every single game day.
Oh yeah, Scorpions are still a very dangerous roster that should not be underestimated in any form. It's a roster that can do a lot of great things. It's a roster that actually for multiple seasons in a row now did not go into the next season with any changes whatsoever. Completely unchanged for quite a fair bit of a time, meaning that they got to polish their performance, their chemistry, and their communication as well. And it has been an absolutely stellar turnout from the bar, obviously, their matchup against the Matildas. But even then, it was still quite a scary game.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously there's players that you know and love coming into this competition, but there's also those players that we definitely want to keep an eye on because they can be those make or break individuals for these teams. I'm looking at the likes of Raspberry, especially last week as well. The guy had some huge impact, so I'm excited to see whether that carries on tonight. But overall, I mean, again, I'll put the same question to you, and as we have a look at the player Toddy for the Wellington Wolverines, what do you do in the situation? You're the Wellington Wolverines, you're coming into this matchup knowing full well that it's the Scorpions you're taking on. What are you doing in this matchup to try and play that upset factor, play that spoiler?
Honestly, I think for Wolverines here, the best choice would be either to go onto one of the, just play the maps and try to go onto the worst maps for Scorpions and try to play it that way into the sort of the whole idea of discomfort for their opponents. On top of it, as well, you would obviously want to make sure to play for that unpredictability. Scorpions are a roster that can be sometimes flexible, but a single just misplay here and there could really sort of send them down a very slippery slope. So look, I think for Wolverines, it's the element of surprise that they have been trying to lean into quite rather heavily so far would be the ideal play. But look, I mean, when you have players like Raspberry, when you have players that is able to continue playing the ring around the rosy while still being able to finish up a matchup with a ramming damage, I mean, what can you do, really?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Raspberry was just, again, a tour de force last week. He found himself in that clutch situation. It was a 1v1. You thought for a moment Raspberry might have let it slip, but he never does. He absolutely locks it down, hits the shot that he needs to, and despite those tense moments, knows exactly when the ice needs to pump through the veins so they can keep the clutch going. But Cthulhu, the big question now, the talking point next, is where do we see them go? And you said for the Wellington Wolverines, they need to play the maps, they need to come into it, they need to do exactly what they can to try and bring this one back. And the maps will be a huge factor in determining how this match could play out, of course, as we take a look at the vetoes. I'm excited. I think that this could be a rather interesting one, especially for the likes of the Wolverines, where you're looking at a situation where you're just playing for that upset factor. Where do you go? What do you risk? What do you gamble?
Look, everything really for Wolverines. It's a gamble for everything. This is the matchup that I think they will need to go all in just to make sure that they are staying afloat for the race for the top 5 really here. At this point, they just need to secure any sort of spot just to get themselves into the playoffs, because right now I think unless something goes horrendously wrong in the last 2 weeks of the regular season, things would look quite rather dire for Wolverines if they end up losing completely here. Even just a singular point here should be able to get them started, but even so, it would be a rough gig. So look, one of the more difficult hands has been dealt to them so far in terms of how their season went, and Scorpions are looking to double down on that unfortunate situation for the Wolverines. Whereas for Wolverines, pardon me, for Scorpions, they are looking to, well, just to get back into their own play, continue their absolutely stunning run that they began when playing against Action X, and well, look, this could be the one.
Well, as we jump on into the map, of course, we didn't quite get to touch on the videos, but Cthulhu, I think it's quite evident where we're going to be heading to start this one off. Prokoprovka, yes. It's a pretty stock standard map. This should be a nice little opportunity for the Wolverines to absolutely play that spoiler potentially. And we're not going to spoil map 2 just yet. We'll leave that as a surprise for the Twitch chat. Already we're into it. Movement. And okay. We did talk about the Wolverines and their propensity for running some interesting lineups. It's not a hugely crazy lineup, but that STB still coming in. They're a big fan of it.
Yeah, STB is one of those tanks that, once again, has the potential to have some great amount of DPM. It's a tank that can, in certain positions and certain setups, can be played in a hold-down play. But look, for this case, it could be rather problematic. Aussie already in the ball, looking to keep on re-swinging onto Mudguard. Flaming and AVP still looking to continue driving, but they need to get amongst it. They need to get into this matchup as quickly as possible. Sir Robin is only one shot away from dying. And right now, while Aussie and JT already taking quite some damage, it's still not enough to take down one of the tanks. So Wolverine's already going into the brawl with a heavy disadvantage of one of the guns out.
Looks like Scorpions are trying to speedrun this one. The health pool is reasonably close. Unfortunately, the numbers do not match said health pool. Napalm, my buddy, Raspberry is on your team. I saw that. I did not miss that. That was an attempt. There was an attempt made, Cthulhu, an assassination attempt made onto Raspberry. Unfortunately, Napalm absolutely whiffed it. One of the more accelerated rounds I think we've seen here in the PL. The Wolverines absolutely monstered. I think it was, 1 minute, 1 second first blood there. And the wrap-up should be coming soon after. And, ooh, yeah, look, AVP and Toddy trying to do what they can. Toddy is just sitting. Toddy is just sitting and waiting and hoping and praying.
Yeah. This is definitely looking like a bit of a tall order here. Toddy already, his position is very much knowledgeable to the rest of the team of Scorpions. Even just, 2 shots and a ram is going to be basically enough. From IS-7s especially, it is going to be a very, very difficult time. And look, yeah, Toddy needs to run. Needs to make sure that maybe he would be able to hide himself in the bushes. But yeah, Scorpions, they can smell, they can taste blood here, and they're on for it.
Not quite the matchup that you'd think would go the way of a Scorpion, a matchup against the Wolverine. Usually they're a bit scrappier, and Toddy. Yeah, Toddy is just about to be bullied. They're all circled up, but the fact that Aussie and JT are so low, and they're who is it? The Supercog. JT is just sitting off on his own. No, sorry, it was Napalmer. Napalmer was sitting out in the open. I think he was alt-tabbed. He was obviously doing something else.
Yeah, look, I think at that point the round was very much all wrapped up, done and dusted. For Scorpions, yeah, it's all smiles, it's all fun times, really. For Wolverines, look, it's once again quite an unfortunate turnout, really, with the way how things really worked out. Although, look, a valiant attempt with the introduction of the STB1, the way how they wanted to play it out, it nearly worked, but just unfortunately the initial damage that came in meant that, well, things were just going sideways from the very get-go.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was. I think Scorpions just knew They were confident as they could be coming into this matchup. I'll just look again. We saw it last week. You know, they bounced off an unfortunate week one. They just say, look, we're going to keep our heads down. We're going to play our game. We're not going to be silly about it. We're just going to get what needs to be done, and move forward.
So, well, there's still at least one more round of Prokhorovka where Wolverines could really try to throw a bit of a spanner in the works of Scorpions, but even then, Scorpions seeming to be very much high on their morale and looking to continue dealing damage. I gotta say though, still the way how close the health pool was, despite the losses of the tanks, was quite an amusing sight, where Wolverines were just a couple shots close and a couple shots away from being able to actually get the upper hand over Scorpions, which would have been actually a huge turnout for them, but alas, that was not meant to happen, it seems. So going into round two, look, I'm thinking for Scorpions, they're not really gonna delve too deep into some of their more outrageous tank picks and just gonna keep it simple. The IS-7s, the 277s, and the S-Conks basically doing the perfect job here.
Yeah, it was the same thing last week out of the Scorpions, and you're coming into a matchup, you're the Wolverines. Unfortunately, I think of all the teams in this competition, Scorpions in this position are the least likely to pull their punches, which for the newest team of the competition, it just makes it all that more brutal. But, I mean, Wolverines, again, we asked the question, what do you do, play the maps? Unfortunately, the map didn't go very well. So, at this point, do you just sort of lean into it? Do you just go that weird and wonderful and try and throw your opponents off? Or because playing their game certainly isn't working.
Yeah, look, I think that would be the case here. Try to go maybe for some of the plays in terms of maybe try to take control of the hill. Maybe try to go for a bit more of a a passive play around the sort of A to C, that 1 to 3 position, that whole square around there can provide a few decent hold down positions. Obviously not the ideal still, but having the initial ability to put in a few more shots before the heat actually starts to ramp up would have been quite beneficial there for Wolverines. Whereas for Scorpions, look, they were presented with their own game and they've gladly played it. Yeah,
it's rough, but yeah, it's rough. I don't know, so it was JT sitting in the back. Sorry, I thought I must have been Aussie that I got confused with. I saw pixels of a name. I was like, yeah, it's got to be JT, right? But no, not the case. Not the case at all. We head into the second half. Oh, Wolverines' defense. Honestly, it didn't really feel like there were sides in that match. It was just, okay, let's fight. Let's go. Let's just full send. And I think, Scorpions on the defense, I think we're going to see a little bit more paced down gameplay. I don't imagine they're going to be too keen to take the fight to the Wolverines. But off the back of that last round, I could understand that the confidence is there enough that they would.
It is quite cool to see that both teams actually opted into introducing the CS63. Only one of them is running actually hardening. If you do spot the difference, being that just about shy of 100 HP difference between Mudguard and Aussie. Sorry, I have attempted to do the one thing that the caster shouldn't be doing, and that is maths right on the broadcast.
No, I'm sorry. Just seeing the CS63s ripping through the map. Part of me just expects someone to take too tight a turn and flip the darn thing.
It looks like it can sometimes pull that off, honestly. But yeah, look, the mobility on the CS63s has been absolutely phenomenal. Unfortunately for Sir Robin, well, his health pool has not been too phenomenal, really. Farmed up to all high hell with 895, and a dream is basically the play there. The rest of the team has absolutely decent positionings, but unfortunately without any sort of way to deal with JT with the presence of the I-7 on the A6 as well. This is looking to be absolutely impossible to continue this brawl at the pace that it is going.
I mean, you got to respect Sir Robin. He's still hanging around. He's
hanging, yeah. He's hanging around, all right.
There is a term that I could use, but let's just say he's sitting there flapping in the wind, arms akimbo, ready to go. How he's still alive? There we go. Finally, he's going to be taken out.
That is an interesting perspective.
Yeah, poor observer switched to him just as he gets murked, and right now, Raspberry ammo rack taking some big damage. Toddy and Flaming might be able to find a kill for the team. Can they just? Yeah, okay. Now it's
trade
time
needs
to bully.
to happen.
Yeah,
There it
it's time to bully Raspberry. You've got him isolated. Make the most of it. Nate Palmer as well, 250 HP. But you look at the positioning. They've got... Oh, okay. No, Toddy makes it work. He finds the angle around the rock. So we're at a 3 versus 3. Toddy is, again, much similar position to Robin. And realistically, this is going to be another Scorpion round. And, yeah. Oh, just... There is some wanted style shooting going on right now, Cthulhu.
Yeah, look, curving the shots there certainly seeming to be the play. JT is just putting an absolute masterclass there. And yeah, for Flaming, he's not for long in this world. And it's all down to Mudguard to do the play. Aussie should be traded off pretty quickly. Yeah, even manages to pop a shot from the middle. Unable to hit either. No, Mudguard missing his shots here, but should find the finisher finally. There it is. And, well, yeah, look, still... At the end of it all, it is a 2-0 conclusion to Prokhorovka, which is something that I think both of us really expected to come out from this matchup, given that Scorpions were able to actually polish up their performance on Prokhorovka fairly well, all things considered.
Oh, great. CS63 of the lake, what is your wisdom here? I think for the Wolverines, unfortunately, is hit your shots. And don't take so much punishment at the moment. Oh, no. Here comes Knight.
Oh, JT had to be the killjoy.
Oh, JT, buddy, calm down. Calm down. It was a shot. It was a shot and a half, but I don't know if it was that impressive. Oh, all right.
Look, I mean, let the man be all hyped as much as he can be. Look, I mean, this is a much needed sort of run for Scorpions as well, given that they had a bit of a rough start. Look, I think they're already way past that point of just resetting themselves, and they're all on full throttle here to just keep on just plowing through their competition. The way how so far it's been paced out by them, it's been absolutely nuts. And we gotta give them kudos. Yeah, look, they for this matchup, I don't think they decided to really go too deep into this strat book. They sort of opted into just much more sort of by the book sort of gameplay, where you play your positions, you set up the crossfire, you keep 1 to 2 tanks around the ridgeline, and the CS63 was able to relay all of that information in spades, really. So Aussie's play here and ability to stay alive for as long as he did was basically the key result as to how Scorpions managed to keep up the advantage. JT.
JT farming right now. Why can't Aussie and Napalm put up these numbers, man? Every single time I chuck them in my fantasy roster, and it's look, it is what it is. You make the most of what you can do. A whopping 52.8 fantasy points from that game. I'll walk away with it, I suppose. But I mean, JT, yeah, look, he was threading some shots, 6,300 damage, while still maintaining a 94.7% accuracy rating and a 94.4% pen rating. That is absolutely outstanding.
So also for everyone in the chat, by the way, this has to be, this moment had to be one of the more audible times when you get to catch Blue Panda mauled as well. So do get your clipping tools out as well, because this is one of the few rare occasions. But
Wargaming are looking to try and push me to my limits this season. Predictions, fantasy, no, I'm just having none of it, eh? They can't let us have anything nice.
Look, I mean, it do be like that. Look, Wolverines still, though, have the opportunity to possibly put a bit of a dent into the Scorpions' performance going into the the map number 2. But again, the possibilities are rather small here, given just how dominant so far it's been from Scorpions. Though we do get to talk now about the second map. Panda.
Actually, before we do that, how about we talk about the true seethers in chat, which is production and their prediction of the Wolverines winning it. 2-0 start. Production, how's things going in the booth? I'm sure you guys are absolutely ecstatic. I hope the AC's turned up to deal with all the sweating you're doing right now. But no, yes, let's talk about map 2. Cthulhu. No spoilers. It is going to be Ghost Town, of course. It's the second time tonight with potential for the full gambit, of course, of 3 Ghost Towns. We'll have to wait and see if it does happen. But I mean, from what you've seen, the Wolverines on Prokhorovka going into Ghost Town, is there any chance that production might not look like clowns tonight?
Look, I mean, The chance is never zero, but it's I think we
Rapidly
started
approaching?
it is though rapidly approaching on that one. Look, there's still an opportunity, but yeah, it is relatively vague. Though, look, Ghost Town could be one map that we could see Wolverines to really bring out something absolutely outrageously sort of unseen, and well, introduce maybe a new strat that Sentinels could adapt as their plan B.
Oh, I did see a cheeky 50B there as well in the hands of JT this time from the
JT
side
on
of the
the 50B,
Wolverines. Yeah, look, I think that's probably, again, nothing crazy out of the ordinary. Double E100, double S Conk IS7 for the Wolverines, double S Conk CS63, IS4, 50B for the side of the Scorpions. The health pool, though, it's a decent enough disparity in favour of the Wolverines on this defense.
Well, that is exactly what they need right now, really, Panda. They need that extra HP buffer that they can bring around to give them a little bit more. First of all, a little bit more of the room for error. That's one thing. Two, they need to make sure that they are utilizing this health pool to the fullest, because between AVP and Mudguard right now pushing the two E100s, they could get into a crossfire very rapidly, and that is going to be the last thing that they would want. Toddy and Flaming, look, it's a position. I'll say this, but I'm not too sure if it's a viable position to
Toxic
say
caster.
right in the middle of the cap. But it's a valiant attempt to try to use the construction site to sort of prevent at least some shots from coming in. But I think Flaming should be joining Toddy and Robin there fairly soon as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, you know, off the rip, it's a fairly aggressive forward position defense from the side of the Wolverines. It's not half bad, Cthulhu. Look at the damage. Napalm is down to 1,000. Raspberry's down to 1,200. How has this turned on its head? I thought for a moment maybe the Wolverines had forgotten what side they're playing, but all of a sudden Flaming claims first blood. That's Napalmer and his IS4 out of the equation. AVP, the answer back. It's an E100. At the end of the day, it could have been a lot worse, I think, in this situation. But the overall health pool, there is a 3k health pool, lead in favour of the Wolverines right now.
Definitely quite a surprise in the play, but Aussie still full HP, so should be able to keep on relatively consistently, keep on pumping out the damage. Flaming looking to try to start the battle against the CSCC3 player. Meanwhile, Knight is about to fall. Raspberry fell. Rowandy already played out his game. That's all fine, all good. So Robin nearly got ammo rack, double ammo rack as a matter of fact. Knight, though, should be falling here anytime soon, but Mudguard instead falls. So problems galore could start happening here. Sir Robin is unable to keep on finding the finishes and keeps on getting farmed.
Cthulhu, I'm getting mildly concerned here. Robin will find the kill on tonight. A whopping 3,100 health remaining to the 4,100 of the Wolverines, and Robin still in a bit of trouble, still ammo racked. I don't know if he gets another shot off before he falls. Aussie is just cheesing out.
Bolting out of here.
He is running. Flaming's going to shoot him. 3k damage for him at his Super Conk, and Aussie, it's just mind games now. It's all shenaniganry, but you look at the tanks in play. JT and the 50B, I mean, look, there is possibilities. Again, it's what we said about the Wolverines' chances in this matchup for the Scorpions right now. There's a chance, but it is a dwindling one.
Yeah. Look, curious to see as to what is now the game plan here for Wolverines, with Toddy needing to rendezvous with Flaming here. Really, they decided, or rather he's just deciding to play in the construction side ditch. I'm soaking it in. Just bear with me here, Blue Panda, because look, generally speaking,
excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, Cthulhu is he's trying to experience the matchup that we're in right now. Doesn't want to ruin the moment.
Look, I'm at this point. I'm trying to just figure out what is the game plan, because Wolverines got actually a huge upper hand here right now. Not only they are almost by 2 times up of the HP compared to Scorpions, they have the rotational positions fairly nicely set up in terms of just them being able to spot those positions. Curious bit being is that if JT somehow magically is able to avoid the proxy spot and is able to get the drop onto Flaming, he has a phenomenal opportunity to absolutely shut him down here. 2k HP is easily disposable here, but in comes the spot. There's the proxy spot. The element of surprise ruined, and Aussie's nowhere to be seen as well.
Yeah, they look to wrap the other side of the map. Shots are on. JT is putting in the work right now. Flaming's in trouble. This is workable all of a sudden.
3 minutes.
I think there is a possibility here. Oh, the CS63 shot connects. And this could be doable, but JT's just taken so much punishment. Down to 1100. This is a tight game. If JT gets a reload off here, realistically, this is possible. Oh, no. Never mind. JT, buddy. JT, buddy. You're in trouble. You're in... Oh, no! JT, he threads the needle. That's a big kill. Now it's ring around the rosy. Now you call in the artillery support. This is crumbling. The hopes and dreams of the Wolverines are falling apart here, Cthulhu. This could all be over in a moment. Look at that. Aussie sitting on the point. Toddy, 400 HP to the 100 of JT. The Wolverines might have just let this slip. The kill comes through. Aussie down. The low roll. 22 HP in a dream. Aussie's in trouble. He's playing the body of the dead shit that's hanging in front of him. Cthulhu. Toddy surely can do it. He does. The Wolverines ice up.
Oh my lord. Okay, right. That was quite the round to unpack here, Panda. From the absolute meat grinder that was the Wolverines' whole attack and how accelerated that push was. Mind you, they were on the defense. They ended up just absolutely pushing the Scorpions to the limit there. Not only, by the way, I have to also highlight, JT could have avoided being farmed here by the Super Conquerors if he decided to just absolutely go dip into the city, play his position just to the fullest, and then just enjoy his life. With that out of the way, though, the fact that he decided to recross again into the eyes and into the gun of the S-Conk ended up meaning that he ended up getting himself cornered. He did manage to make the best out of his position and situation, but yeah, look, unfortunately, just a few of the very hastily made decisions ended up the demise for them, and even at the loss. 124 points for fantasy.
So hold up. So JT 63-37 in game. The guy has cracked 11,000 damage. Over so that's not even including. So I'm missing around there. So he could be sitting well up over 15,000 damage right now.
Yep.
In a series that is still 2-1. The guy. Jeepers, JT. I might have to reconsider some of my fantasy picks right now. I just hope to heck that old Jordan doesn't have him in the fantasy roster, because he dropped a few places after last week. He might be jumping straight back up after this week if he's got JT.
I mean, knowing that Jordan is quite a JT enjoyer, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan has him on the fantasy. I'm the buffoon that actually decided to pick Russian, and it's the one day when Russian is actually not
he
playing,
does.
So
He does have JT. He does have JT.
There you go.
Cthulhu, we're in the bin. We're in the bin. Our fantasy, we just can't even... But, look, the guy knows. Elfish is a knower. He knew exactly what he was doing.
I mean, that's the insight that you get once you get into the ivory tower, Jordan. No, with Jordan, he's
I suppose elevation, the
elevation,
the view,
the high ground,
being able to see. Yeah, that's it. The high ground. It's the power of the high ground. But I mean, Cthulhu, the Wolverines bring it back. They bring back one. I think production huffing a little bit harder on the mouthpiece of the Copium tank right now. But if they could play the Ghost Town defense as aggressively as they did, realistically, surely there is some hope that their attack could be just as successful.
Oh, look, I mean, when we talking about the fact that so far, even back on Prokhorovka, if we didn't have the graphics as to who's defending, who's attacking, we wouldn't know for sure. So I think in this case, I think similar approach could be really introduced here. For Wolverines, they seem to have a pretty decent idea as to what they want to do on the Ghost Town. Unfortunately, yeah, look, they nearly got out-juked there by a 50B and a CS63 if there was a little bit more HP for both of them. But overall, look, it was still a very valiant attempt.
The big problem, though, that I'm seeing is, while all this is going on, it just means, potentially extending this out to a tiebreaker just means that's more points for JT to farm.
Oh, yeah.
No break. No easement.
Oh,
for
is
us,
that the shot that he connected?
Wow.
That is foul.
Yeah,
That is
okay.
foul from Toddy.
You know what? JT can have all the points. JT, he can have all the points he needs. It's unfortunately for him, the big brain plays like that ultimately costs you around. Toddy has the giga brain as they transition the attack and that momentum. I mean, realistically, that's one of those shots that could definitely tilt a player going into the second round of a map. So we'll have to see. Nothing crazy. It's all stock standard across the board. 4 Super Conks in the lobby, 3 IS-7s, an IS-4 and 2 E-100s.
Curious to see that it is the IS-4 that is once again making the play. Having the troll armor that it does, it's no wonder that it is being introduced here, especially against some of the tanks that would be bringing the APCR rounds like the S-Kongs. The IS-4's armor profile actually allows you to bounce quite a fair few rather nasty shots. So, in the meanwhile, see, this is what I'm talking. Like, the attacking side of Wolverines looks like a defense, and the defense side of Wolverines looks like an attack. Because we did not see from Wolverines any form of expansion, really, from their tanks back in the last round. And they were supposed to be the ones to defend. Now they're going on attack. They're the ones scouting around, you know, figuring it out and looking to just do the actual work here.
Well, it's going to be an interesting time. We might, I say might with an asterisk, a very big asterisk. We'll have our first Himmelsdorf of the evening on the cards, but we still have to get through this to get there. And you can see the Scorpions, I mean, playing in what would be a more standard approach to the defense. Just sort of waiting, biding their time, knowing full well that they've got that win condition to play off of. But the Wolverines, that last round, especially that last shot from Toddy, it's one of those situations where realistically anything is possible at this stage.
Yeah. Things are definitely looking a whole lot more paced down, really. For Wolverines, they are looking to try to just, I suppose, try to find that, or pinpoint rather, the weak spot of Scorpion's defense here and try to breach through. I am still quite curious as to what will be the game plan for Sir Robin, because he's the one that is the most distant from them, and oof, that is a lot of damage flying into the S-Conk. Once again, showing that the hull of the Super Conqueror is impossible to bounce, really, anything.
Well, shots being exchanged, both sides looking to contest, get that early positioning over towards mid. Knight's going to take some damage. Oh, wow, the ammo rack on the JT could be a bit deadly. We'll get that repair off, so he's good for the moment. Wolverines are slowly starting to dip below the Scorpions' positioning on that health pool, and AVP is well within the realms of extinction in just a moment. He's not in a great spot, flaming soon to follow. Wow, this is just not a good spot to be in. The Wolverines have played so much. They need to find a kill. They need to isolate something, and there you go. Aussie claims the first kill. Raspberry just on his heels finds himself a follow-up. And it's now down to Mudguard, Robin, and Toddy. And a 3 versus 5. But again, the health pool difference is not colossal.
It's the repetition of the Prokhorovka here, Panda. With the way how Scorpions so far been quite proactive about their play, yes, they're able to join in all together, but they've been all sharing that health pool very nicely, very evenly, while still keeping the guns in the play, and that is exactly what ends up granting them the wins here as well, is the ability to keep up the pressure despite having, health issues for one or the other tank. They're able to split some of the pushes, they're able to cover for one another, and it has been an absolutely stellar turnout for the time being. For Toddy and Sir Robin, though, things are looking to get even worse from here on out, seeing as they are the last 2 men standing. And with the round loss here, that is basically going to be match 2 wrapped up in a very rapid manner as Sir Robin falls. It's all down to Toddy. The S-Kong, unfortunately, will not be able to bounce any more of the shots and will be, finished up fairly quickly.
Guys, please stop. No. Yeah, unfortunately, Toddy, they're not going to let you off this time. Yeah, look, a little bit more reserved with the Scorpions. I think they would like to take that as a 4-0 rather than a 3-1, but they get the job done ultimately at the end of the day. It's the victory that counts. Unfortunately for the Wolverines, second round win. Unfortunately, it's still not enough to get themselves on the board with any points. They will be stuck for another week at the bottom of the leaderboard. But for the Scorpions, again, I think it's just a case of they have been pushing this week and last to get themselves back to a comfortable position, back to what is normal for them and they're playing it pretty well.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, for Scorpions, it was a very nice, clean outcome, really, for the way how they've played their game, the way how they've just wrapped it all up, and once again, an absolute masterclass in terms of how they coordinate their health pool, how they coordinate their pushes, and being able to keep on covering for one another when they need to. It has been quite phenomenal, really, to watch. So, yeah, look, absolutely. Massive kudos to the Scorpions. And, well, now they get to well and truly lock themselves at least in top 3, if not top 2, if my maths is right.
Yeah, so they technically are top with Action X because they also got 3 points there. Actually, no.
True.
Were they on 4? I don't know. Well, actually, no. Sorry, no, they're on 4. It was Sentinels on 4. So, yes, technically, Action X and Scorpions top of the leaderboard at the moment. Then it's Matildas, then it's Sentinels, but that could change after our last match of the day. So, look, leaderboard, it's not a fixed thing until the very end of the play. JT, a phenomenal day for him. 160 fantasy points in one game, one round, 125 in another. So he's up over 350 fantasy points, and there's still another round to count for. That is insane numbers for this team.
Absolutely. Huge turnouts, huge wins as well. Scorpions are quite happy about this turnout. JT himself will be quite happy with this turnout too, with the way how just the farming has been quite exquisite for himself. And well, now they're going to be very patiently waiting to see what will the Sentinels be able to do, because for Sentinels right now, well, they need to get the big brain man, Rainbow, back into the play. And if he's back, then, well, this should be an absolute masterclass from them once again.
But, I mean, you're coming into this matchup, and Wolverines are all but locked out of playoffs contention now because I think, maximum of 6 points. So the only team I think they could technically jump at this point is it'd either have to be it's our 2 remaining teams to play, of course. They'd either have to rely on the Sentinels not winning anything for the remainder of the season, which I think is less than likely, while also picking up their 2 wins in weeks 4 and 5 rather. And the same with the Panthers. Panthers would not be allowed to win anything, and the Wolverines would then have to win the next 2 consecutive weeks, of course. But I mean, just looking at it, the Scorpions again just seemed to have such a capable hand on this matchup. They knew what to do on Proc, they knew what to do on Ghost Town on both sides of that coin. Even that loss that they suffered on Ghost Town, it wasn't like they weren't really in position to bring it back, because they very nearly did.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely a phenomenal turnout there. And it only was just a matter of just high and low rolls, and well, look, it was still a pleasure to watch.
It was indeed. And speaking of pleasures, it is my absolute pleasure to bring into the interview booth. It's a man with absolute pizzazz. The man, he's got class for days, and he looks a bit. Benny, welcome to the interview booth. A big day for you guys. I mean, talk us through it. The last couple of weeks have definitely felt like Scorpions trying to return to form, and you're looking like you've done it.
Yeah, we are. Like, that was an easy game, no questions asked.
Fair enough. Look, I mean, were there any concerns going into the matchup, seeing as there were quite some of the more unusual picks coming out from Wolverines, or was it just more so focused on just cleaning up your own game and just not caring about anything else?
We were kind of surprised that they even brought like meta tanks, S-Conks, and we just expected, a couple of Fosh, a couple of bad chats, and we didn't really get the entertainment.
Fair enough.
I mean, look, Benny, you've only got a couple of weeks left, of course, in the round robin before we head to that land final. At this stage, are you guys sort of happy with where you've bounced back to, or is it still going to be that push for the top seed going into the land?
We're definitely happy. We set up CACs this week to beat Matildas. We were just sharing our strats to make sure that they won, and we were happy with that, because now it gives us a better chance.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is that everything is going according to plan. You've masterminded the entire split so far.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, perfect. It's good to know. It gives us more to work with going into land. But Benny, look, it's been great. You guys looking really good over the last couple of weeks. We'll give it over to you. Anyone you'd like to shout out before we let you head off?
I want to shout out my cat, who was here, but she's jumped away. That's about it.
Awesome, mate. Look, we'll let you go celebrate with the lads.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Well, Cthulhu, it's all according to plan, apparently, as Benny stated. Nothing out of their control. Everything is by the book, masterminded by this powerhouse New Era Scorpions roster. I mean, if Wolverines set themselves up for the villain arc, these guys have to be like the evil masterminds playing puppet master behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, look, definitely would have to. But look, yeah, a bit of an unfortunate turnout there for Wolverines. One would hope that maybe in the last few play days of the regular season we'd see them pull off an absolute heater of a performance, but at least for the rest of today, unfortunately, that is it for them. Though, look, now that the Matildas versus Action X has finished up, now that the Scorpions versus Wolverines has finished up, now we get to see how will the other two teams will really perform. The Sentinels versus Panthers should be an interesting one. On the one hand, for Sentinels, they want to obviously return from what was a rather upsetting turnout for them back in the week 2. For Panthers, they want to continue their climb because they're far from being out of this yet. And look, they have a team to really back themselves up.
Well, Cthulhu, we head towards the break, and our final matchup of the day has some rather interesting implications. We could see a three-way tie at the end of week 3. We could see a group leader, and then, of course, we could see another possibility in a three-way tie, believe it or not. It's kind of a wild week. When we come back after the break, it's the Sentinels taking on the Panthers. Don't go anywhere. See you soon. Oh, we start off the rip, and already movement, action. High intensity. You love it. Oh, boy. Yeah, and already Wymo's spotted. He's taken some big damage, and he's well out in the open. That's not a great spot to be in.
Look where Whippet is. Ay.
And Sentinels are just bleeding damage. They're getting shots in their own right, but they're already a player down. It's not at all going the way they expected. Joe Torres take a big damage. 1,000 off the health pool, and Magic will finish off Cindy Cthulhu. It's all coming together. The Melbourne Matildas in this attacking round have just pulled apart right into Sentinels play, and Wymo is just fishing. He's looking for anything, and he's unfortunately just going to have to rebat that hook because nothing's biting at the moment.
Would have been a problem to deal with as well, and Joe Toro would have not survived. Yeah, there we go. Oh my god.
Well, unfortunately for Dell, in my fantasy points, he's being ganged up on here. Magic Shells is going hunting, and unfortunately Dell is the prime target right now.
The problem being right now is speed will have the upper hand on Bubbles. The DPM is just too good from the S-Conk, and whilst, he will be still coming out with about just a K of damage, Bubbles will be going down in 1 or 2 more shots.
But the thing is, I mean, Bubbles wasted so much time, so if Matildas can reposition and get those shots off, Bolognese in his Super Conk is at a huge amount of trouble, but Cindy. And now all guns are turned. Ravioli seems to be the target of choice. They're going to finish him off finally. A 2 versus 2. The health bar is still there for the Matildas somehow. Cthulhu, they've got the advantage, and Wymo's in trouble. Ravioli's isolated his fight, and the return can't support. Magic Shells is going to be able to farm up Wymo. They might be in trouble, but realistically, this should be all Matildas. This should be the 2-0 they're hunting for. My God, no one would have called that. No one except production. Who would have thought they were the big brains tonight, Cthulhu?
And here we were saying that it was copium all along, but yeah, look, I gotta give kudos. Matilda's definitely performed excellently here.
Quite happy to just sit here and fight.
Dell is currently about to start farming over the ridge, and that is exactly the play from Matilda's really here, is just overpush, go into the dip, try to isolate themselves from the absolute DPM machine that is the Stritzman 103B, try to get rid of Cindy, but right now this is an excellent start here for Sentinels, and exactly that.
Oh, the spread unfortunately is going to be the end of Bolognese. They're very exposed right now, and Ravioli al dente not soon to follow. This is not ideal. It's not great. And well, Joe Toro, wow, what a shot from Wymo to finish off the round. He might be in the bin in just a second if he's not careful. 500 HP and a dream. But he's gone. Wymo, the sniper, the man himself. It's that dad buff, man. The guy is just, he's unlocked his full mental capacity.
We already have one of the tanks down. Matildas are suffering some heavy losses, and return should still be able to farm up just a perfect storm here.
Can they do it? The brawl is coming. 13 seconds. They're winning this, Cthulhu. They just need to get the resets off, and this could be a Matilda's round potentially. But it's a mad dash towards the objective. No, that camo, it might just be enough. The Stritzvan and the T100 will get it out. No resets to come through. and the Sentinels will equalise. And Cthulhu, we're going to cliff. Would you believe it? You can see the wraparound. Four members of the Matildas. This is the full send play. They're committing. Bolognese in trouble. The shots are ringing out. Dell in trouble as well. The 50 being down immediately, and it's going to be Matildas to claim first blood. Bolognese, he's still bleeding the health. Wymo taking some big damage. It's all up in the air. If they can get Wymo out, this could be it. Bubbles, he's just coming in from the back lines. That CS, the mobility. Wymo's in trouble. The shots are on. They've isolated him now. It's neck and neck overall. Wymo's got 32. They've completely womped out the return. This might be the Matildas ice up that they've been looking for. Wymo's in trouble. Bubbles is still there up in his face. Somehow Cthulhu, Magic Shells and the Matildas might just pull this one out. Rainbow just the last alive against
What
three.
is happening?
Cthulhu, the 3-2 is going to go the way of the Matildas. As we load on into things, the Wolverines, you can see them right now, ready and ripping, looking to get into it. Yeah, I mean, they're looking for the overmatch, but all of a sudden they pull back. It's just too tentative right now. Oh, that's rough for Madhouse. He's not in a good spot right now. This is starting to come apart for the Panthers. And this immovable object of the double mound setup is there. Toddy, yes, he's taking some damage. So is Mudguard, but they're still not in the spot that they want. All of a sudden, the momentum's starting to shift. It feels like Solitarian's too deep. The three-man push up, and it's going to be Sir Robin that actually claims first blood. God mode down in his E100. The bleed starts once again for the Wolverines. 3 players remaining, unfortunately.
Flaming is about to fall 2 shots shy off the fall, and won't be able to finish off Twit as well. So Twit will have the finishing damage here. Soltarian is the last man standing.
This is not the ideal situation. There's a dead tank in front of Madhouse. The mouse has come back to haunt them. Cthulhu. Oh, that is absolute heartbreak for the Wolverines.
They didn't spot him. They don't know. No. Panda, Wolverines might have been actually what initially looked like the smoothest brain performance that they could have done. Actually, they might just be able to have the biggest brain play here. Completely outflanking the IS-4 in the E100, they might just be able to just jump on a 3-cap, but instead Sir Robin actually drops off. Forge B still has the position. Wait, they might actually be able to take full control of the D-line as well.
That could cost them ultimately in the end. You can see the fight starting. Toddy here, like I said, he's been left hung out to dry. He's going to go down freely to Crit. Oh, but Crit could be the difference maker here. Look at them. They're body blocking for Flaming right now. They're all trying to get in position to allow Flaming to cap this right now, but Crit coming in from the back and Twit on the flank as well. One shot is going to spell disaster here for the Wolverines, and they do. The reset comes through. And Cthulhu, I think that might just be it for the Wolverines on Himmelsdorf. Their gambit does not pay off.
Yeah, look, I'm not too sure yet what to make of this whole conundrum, which is basically the only way to really describe this.
Slowly working their way up towards that 2-flag at the moment. Wow. So Robin just instantly demolished. They're a player down. He sends a shot, looking at JS, trying to shut him down, but he's been spotted. And again, the team shots comes through perfectly. And
the rest of the team, though, they should be able to wrap it all up. There's not much else really to mention.
Well, we're going to jump on into the final round of this matchup. Cthulhu, the Panthers 3-0. So regardless of the result, they are walking away with the victory tonight. But, I mean, the Panthers just, again, not overcommitting. They know full well they've got the win in the bag, but they are playing their game. They're playing it smart. They're not losing that discipline. And but they get the damage out. They're pumping away at a Madhouse, still holding on for the moment. Well, look, the 2 lighter tanks are coming in to get involved. And, well, Toddy's dead. Now it's just Mudguard and Robin. Cthulhu, a 4-0 for the Panthers here. And they're in their Week 2 series. We're into it. Ruinberg on the cards. Action X on the attack to start things off. And Scorpions, obviously, on the other side of that coin of the D.
Where is Lightning Man, though, is my question here. He needs to be the one to farm up a lot of damage, but instead, actually, there's the finisher. There's the wrap-up. Rowan D will be going down in just a few seconds. It's absolute chaos, but yeah, the overall battle between the IS-7 and the IS-4 basically shows exactly the case why the IS-4 would prevail at the end of it all. Gloucester does fall at the end of it all, but Aussie already suffered some tremendous damage, though now Raspberry needs to fall here in basically record times without Lightning Man really trading too much damage. Trax manages to sink in one more shot into Russian before the fall. There it is. There's the finisher, 1200 for Lightning Man. Theoretically still workable, but Lightning Man needs to make sure that he's not losing any more of the HP and gets into the safety before Russian swings, because this is going to be GG if that trade continues to happen.
He gets the shot off 17 HP to Dream. Oh, this is going to get close. Lightning Man, yeah, it didn't move. Gave Russian his third, but it's a 463 HP game.
Right now, oh my, Aussie is being melted here.
Please, if you could not kill him, that'd be great for my fantasy. Unfortunately, in a sea of 63, there's only so much you could do. Well, he had to hit the hard brake so he didn't die to the impact there, the ramming. And it feels dangerously like this is going to go the same way as that last round. Scorpions just managing to hold fast in the face of this aggression from Action X. They've taken Donga and Rawendi, so the 50B and the Wheezy 111. I think Scorpions might just have this.
Yeah, Scorpions definitely have this, it seems. This all worked out perfectly well. Gloucester is the last man to live out of the AX, and look, yeah, Runeberg is definitely going to be upset territory here for Action X.
Action X actually have a 3k health advantage right now, Cthulhu. They might have just sustained on the beefier tank line. Tracks in as well, trying to get in position to help shut down Rush, and the shots coming in through the mag, dumping into this hefty tank. The Super Conk, it's going to survive. He misses one more shot. There you go. Action X have booted and rallied to come into Himmelsdorf and looking to pick up a win.
But with Scorpion's continuous pressure, this could be a nightmare, really, for Action X very quickly, specifically for Gloucester here.
And there you go.
That
it's
is
revealed
rough.
Gloucester being collapsed on the AMX 50B going to town, and this E100, poor Gloucester stuck out in the open, not going to be able to get to any real cover, and Russian and Knight will tag teaming with Aussie there at the back lines to support.
Need to make sure that they are unloading and realizing their full potential in terms of damage. JT needs to fall here as well. Russian as well, all fully reloaded. This is farmlands for Scorpions, and they should be able to wrap it all up with a nice bow tie as well.
The health bar, there is, well, now 600 to work with for Action X. If they can get the reloads off, they might just turn this one around. JT's low, they can finish him. Rowendi still surviving, but there you go. Finding it to be shut down. Tracks at Donga, it's down to the 2 versus 2. The health pool is almost even. Donga needs to go absolutely nuclear here. There they go. It's down to the 2 versus 1. They just need to pump damage now, Cthulhu. Oh no, the ricochet, the bounce, that's truly unfortunate, but Trax is going to sit there in front line, pump out the damage on the Raspberry. But because, regardless of the situation, the clock is there for Action X. Donga just has to keep playing ring around the Rosie. He doesn't want to take a fight. Action X might have just done it here. Donga turns. Does he burn? Raspberry hot on his heels. Come on. You can do it, Donga. One more shot through, but no. Raspberry ices up and clutches.
Season 10 of Battle Pass, the first of many seasons in 2023, starts at the end of February. Over 3 chapters, the following tankers await you. Sandro Mancini, a lucky veteran who's ready for everything, will be in his Rinoceronte in the Knicks' progressive style. A polyglot with the knowledge of 8 languages named Emil Kittel, plus his mouse in the Wüstenschiff style. Rebecca Holmberg, the best spy in covert operations, will command her UDIS 1516 in the Svadilfari style. These commanders are very different, but what unites them is one goal and one common story that you will discover during the season. What's more, all 3 are ready to lead you through endless sands and onto rewards. Most rewards are familiar, but there are also new ones, like bounty hardening, for example. It'll help you survive not only under the scorching sun, but also in the hottest of battles. In the Items for Points section of the in-game store, you will find styles from Battle Pass Seasons 7 and 9. And don't forget about the Items for Tokens section of the in-game store as well. First and foremost are Tier 9 vehicles, of course. And there are additions to their ranks. The sturdy and confident BZ-58-2 with a powerful gun and reliable armor. The Kampfpanzer III Project 07HK with 2 firing modes. It's menacing and effective in whichever mode it uses. Here's another new important feature that will appear in the middle of the season. Collections are where you will be able to see all your gathered customization elements from all seasons, starting with Season 10. You can get up to 3 additional tokens for collecting these elements. A reward decal and secret materials that will uncover the details of the story of 3 commanders will also be available. More details about collections will come later. And for now, stay tuned. Collect rewards, learn all the secrets of the desert, and fight in style. Onslaught is back, Commanders. A new season is coming in April, and it's called the Crimson Griffin. It will be a continuation of the previous season of Onslaught and will carry on the traditions of the competitive mode. We plan to test some new game mechanics and introduce a few changes this season before the launch of the next one in the fall. Let's take a look at what's new. The main mode rules remain the same. 7v7 clashes in Tier 10 vehicles using role skills and capturing points of interest. So generally speaking, everything sounds familiar. However, a number of changes aimed at making Onslaught even more diverse.
Heading to the home stretch, Kasuli, we got one match left on the cards, and well, it's a pretty stacked one as on, from what we've seen already. Panthers taking on the Sentinels. Again, we know how this one should go. But Action X have already pulled off an upset today. The Panthers, I mean, they have the talent to be able to do it as well. How much copium, though, is production huffing for that to happen?
Oh,
we knew that was we knew the huffing was happening for the Wolverines. For them to get the Panthers correct as well, someone needs to bring in a truck with some new tanks, honestly.
I think, look, with all of this, with all the supply of copium that will be probably going in, especially with probably a few of the tanks being left over from Fortress Sydney opening. Look, I think would be looking at quite a healthy supply there still for today's playday. Overall, though, I want to say I'm looking forward to this matchup because Panthers. They're a roster that I want to believe that they could be one of the top performing teams. And right now, with Sentinels being hit at a very critical point as well, where they were, especially after their matchup against Matildas, I think this would be a perfect opportunity for the Panthers to double down, to put a little bit more salt on the wound. Whereas on the side of Sentinels, this is the opportunity for them to really try to bring it back.
Well, let's get some speed, and I want to get into the matchup, so let's run it through. Of course, the North Sydney Sentinels, our first team in this matchup. They're a pretty well-known team, if we're being honest with ourselves. You got to know who these guys are if you're watching tanks. If you have been watching tanks, if you are new to tanks, get familiar, get to know these guys because they are going to be one of the powerhouse rosters, especially as we rapidly head towards the playoffs. And I mean, we were talking before the broadcast started. There is one player in particular who you really want to show up today, and of course, it is Rainbow.
Yeah, Rainbow being the brains behind the roster certainly is the core figure of this team, and he's able to really bring the absolute pizzazz that Sentinels can really play with. Interesting to see that no Wymo really being introduced, no speed. This time it's Safi, Return, Cindy, Rainbow, and Dell to actually be on our screens to play. And honestly, this is a roster that I could be quite excited for. First of all, Rainbow is back into the play, so we're back to the absolute intricacies that the Sentinels do usually end up bringing out. And two, Safi is playing. Safi, the absolute he's the veteran of the ANZ competitive play in tanks, and look, his experience could be here quite valuable.
Yeah, and of course their opponents coming in at the Perth Panthers. Look, they found a bit of success this season. They are sitting on 3 points currently, and they've got some absolute monsters on the roster to boot. Unfortunately, they're not quite sitting in the position that they want to be. And another standout player that you've talked about in the past, of course, it is Cret, who will be looking to do some damage tonight. But Cthulhu, there is the possibility. We've had 2 Ghost Hounds already, and you've got Manhouse in the roster. And we know the guy could be feast or famine on a map like Ghost Town. There is potential. But look, we might go from playing World of Tanks to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, because this guy might try and kickflip his IS-7.
Look, I think the chances could be quite rather high. Panthers did used to favor, at least on a few occasions, the Ghost Town picks, and seeing as, I mean, it seems like it's a day for it. I mean, why not? But look, I'm quite curious to see how will this really play out, because, you know, having Crit, like you highlighted, being the 5-star player that he is, having Bales around as well could be absolutely great here. And I think Panthers here, their playstyle would very much depend on just what sort of lineup they're bringing out.
Because, I mean, you got those players you want to keep an eye on, of course, in this matchup. We've already talked about some of those factors, and in fact, we're probably going to be revisiting at least one of them, I know for sure. But I mean, you're looking at the Sentinels and what they bring in, day out. I think there's really only so much you can say about the roster before you have to start digging into it. There's so much individual potential from the Sentinels. And look, I'm excited to see, you know, again, they're bouncing back off of what was an interesting week 2. Now coming into week 3, I'm expecting them to be biting back with a bit of vengeance, probably some heat, some ferocity. But the Perth Panthers, again, like, they've got those players. They have the lineup that could upset.
Oh, yeah. This is absolutely the perfect opportunity for the upset and for them to continue to dig in to completely keep on shutting down their opponents. In terms of our highlights, look, I mean, Critical has been the highlight player for Panthers. The man has been able to keep on pumping out the damage quite consistently as well. Plus, I mean, as a solo player, he's phenomenal. For Panthers, he's been a great pickup as well. And look, honestly, I'm glad that he was able to find the home after what ended up being an explosion of Matildas as well.
Yeah, it's exactly it. But Cthulhu, we've got one more thing to discover before we go into our matchup. Of course, it is going to be the Vetoes. We head back to Ghost Town, and the Panthers have opted into it. Madhouse. Oh, Cthulhu, I'm a little concerned right now at the possibility of maybe just falling off the side. We'll see. But, I mean, we then head to Muravanka, and, of course, Himmelsdorf as a tiebreaker. We haven't had it tonight yet. We haven't had to go to the tiebreaker. Is there a chance in our final match of the evening, do you think, that we go there?
Look, the chance is always there. It's never zero, but it just more so depends on how we're looking to really play this out. I'm a little bit curious to find that Sentinels ended up picking Muro out of all the maps, seeing as Prokhorovka could have been there for them to play. They could have went to quite a number of quite a number of maps to really play around with. But look, I mean, even if they do get to Himmelsdorf, this should be a decent map for them to play on. But look, yeah, Panthers might be onto something here. And look, you say, oh no, when you're seeing a kick clip from one certain individual from Panthers. I say, heck yeah.
I mean, look, the guy has the potential. Either he can either clutch up the 1 versus 2, playing around a rock and making it happen, or he literally goes and flips his tank off the spawn and finds himself there he goes for a swim. Luckily on Ghost Town there's no water, so I think he should be good for the moment, at least none that he can do enough damage to himself that he's out of the equation that early on. But I mean, Cthulhu, looking at the lineup, the Perth Panthers coming into this, Crit, buddy, we're getting a POV camera, it seems. You love to see it, that immersion that you want. Although how immersive, you know, first person in a tank, I'm not quite sure.
POV, you're a Panthers player.
POV, you're a Panthers. Literally, you are a Panthers player. You are the entire team right now. Either way. But, I mean, look, looking at it, face value, it's the Sentinels taking on the Panthers. We've got Ghost Town, Muro, and then Himmelsdorf if we need it. Money down. Pink slips. If you had to put it down, who you betting on?
I'd still probably go for a safe bet Well, it's no longer technically a safe bet, but I would probably end up with still betting on Sentinels here rather than Panthers. But even then, I would say it's very much of a coin toss in terms of just how close this could get.
Yeah, I honestly think that's it. It's kind of the writing is on the wall. We kind of have an idea of where this one's going to be heading. But as we jump on into it, Cthulhu, it's Ghost Town off the rip, and I'm seeing another 50B. We're seeing a decent amount of them tonight.
Seems to be the day for it. A Cax to be brought out by Rainbow. Okay, right. Well, I was highlighting during the week that we got to see the ANZPL, we got to see the JPL and the Japanese, equivalent to a BL as well. Quite a heavy presence of the Centurion Action X, but definitely not the tank that I was expecting to see pop up in the game. But after some of the recent buffs, it's almost a no-brainer with how impactful the DPM could be. But between the 50B and the Cax, I'd still probably bank it on the Cax to probably fall here.
Oh, wow, with crit there, we got the POV inside the POV. Madhouse taking some early damage. Return and Rainbow as well, copping some shots here, and the Sentinels defense is being tested, being thwarted. Wow, okay, what a pinch right now. That's 3 players in a very, very tight, close quarters chokehold. Return, though, he's receiving some big punishment. That's not the ideal spot. Now, oh, this is not going the Sentinels' way, Cthulhu.
Yeah, not ideal at all, although you look at the health pool for Cindy and Dell, still fairly healthy here. In comes the 50B as well to start clipping out, and that is going to be a lot of damage. I mean, you're looking at a 3K differential here, almost 4K soon. Make it even 5K, Jesus. This is all just going absolutely sideways, and that is not an ideal situation here right now for Sentinels.
Cthulhu, I may have done something silly. I may have done something very silly.
What did you do?
So I had coming into this evening, off of the back of what was a phenomenal season of BL last season, 250-odd thousand channel points. And I was like, yeah, know what, free farm on the Sentinels, easy money, easy points. We take that at the end of the day. I'm a little concerned. I am a little concerned right now that my gamble may have been in error. Because as it stands, Bales is farming. Dell has 87 HP in a dream. Collectively, there is not enough HP on these tanks to, I think, put together an armored motorcycle. Because, this is not the round that I was hoping for after laying my points down. Can I take them back, please, mods?
Do you hear this? The very subtle sound of copium right then and there, ladies and gentlemen. Look, see, I'm a Chad caster. I don't bet. I just watch and enjoy the gameplay regardless. For Return, well, he's about to be enjoying the spectator screen, as that's the first round all wrapped up, done and dusted in a extremely prompt manner. And I mean, winner's POV from Critical, honestly.
Yeah, winner's POV inside a winner's POV. It's Winception. There you go. It's Winception. The Panthers, look, they did it. But okay, no. So this sets us up for the question, Cthulhu. Are we starting to see the fall off of the Sentinels era?
Look, I think a little bit too early to really call it just yet. I think if the matchup does end up concluding in favor of Panthers, then we can start talking about the downfall of the Sentinels dynasty here, or the Sentinels era. But look, it's definitely looking to be a little bit more of a crippled sort of lineup, even with Rainbow being part of the core team and playing. But I mean, you look at that, JS, Bales, getting 4K each. And that is a beautiful day. The one day, mind you, as well, the one day that Jordan is not casting as well, Bales is the one performing. So, I mean, coincidence? I think not.
I'm a little upset. I think there's been some shenanigans here. Production's been allowed into the script room. And they have changed the outcome on the day. This is not on, lads. I am calling for a full investigation. Daddy Wargaming will be hearing about this. Whether or not he replies to my email, I don't know. I think he's blocked me, if I'm being perfectly honest with Cthulhu. But I have to say, all jokes aside, all serious, the Panthers played that so very well. I mean, there was a couple of moments there where it looked like the Sentinels had them dead to rights. I mean, you look at it. You had 2 E100s and an IS4 in a choke point with everyone from Sentinels converging on their position, and they just still couldn't make it work. Actually, you know what? Scapegoat time. Rainbow and his Centurion. It's all his fault.
Look, I'm not gonna point any fingers at anyone there, but look, that was just a clean-up play, and I gotta say, between Crit's CS and the Centurion, I'd still probably take the CS, despite the fact that CS did end up falling as the last one. But look, yeah, it's quite surprising, Al. Probably the best way to really explain it, that Sentinels fell the way how they did in round 1. Obviously, it's far from being over yet, and it is just only round 1. But there's definitely a few interesting sort of question marks being raised as to what is happening with Sentinels. Is this the time? Is this the season for all the upsets to happen? Because not only we already had Matildas rise up until today to the first position, whilst having Scorpions and Sentinels as their first 2 starting matches, we also now see Action X back into the swing of things, whether it's the team or the tank that you're talking about. And look, I gotta say, I'm not even too sure at this point who's going to come out the winner.
Well, because I have to say, so you look back at last season, Scorpions take first seed going into playoffs. We now come into this new season, Matildas take a win off the Sentinels in the new single round robin format. There's no double round robin shenanigans. There's no do-over. You either win in the single round robin and find your points there, or you are risking starting at a very unfortunate position in the playoffs. And right now the Panthers, primed and ready with a round advantage here, look to make it a potential 2-0. This is feeling like it could be the end of the Sentinels era, and unfortunately it could be the Matildas and the Panthers to really start that downfall.
Possible it could be the case. Interesting to see that a double down on the flank play coming around from Bales and Critical. The I7 and the CS63, 2 very agile tanks being introduced. But the fun part is the S-Conk as well. One of the S-Conks is being separated into the A4 position, meaning only 2 tanks are going to be in the city. If Sentinels, by some chance, end up reading into this could get very dangerous really quickly as well. So for now, though, it seems like both teams not really particularly too keen on getting into any of the initial fights, which is quite a change in pace compared to what we've seen from round 1.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, again, all right, Del, calm down. You got a game to focus on here, man. Why are you messing with your camera?
Oh, look,
maybe that's why they lost that last round. Jeepers.
There's
just too many distractions.
Whilst gaming. I'm telling you.
Too many distractions. I bet he's one of those gamers that goes and appreciates the map while he's playing competitive games. Oh, look at the aesthetic. No, just go and click heads, shoot, blow tanks up. That's what the game's all about, Cthulhu. Right now, what the game's all about is this 2-man push up towards Crit's position in the IS-7. I mean, the CS-63 and the OBJ potentially could overwhelm this position and make it rather hard to hold for the Panthers. They haven't been spotted just yet, so they're going to get nice and close without being scouted. Wow, they are getting very close. Rainbow spotted, but Dell is only just going to be... Crit is tucking in for the alive.
Gotta run. He was able to bounce a shot from the 277, so that is at least one good thing there. And well, Bales will need to assist Crit there in every possibility, because otherwise, yeah, already 1500 HP is not looking particularly too great there. And well, whilst he still has the opportunity to just sit in a hold down position, his now spot has been very well known. Now for Sentinels, it's up to them what they want to do with this information. For one, they decide to actually back away, which will actually expose at least one extra shot there. And perfect shot there onto Dell to cripple the medium tank player. But now for Sentinels, what they can do is start looking around the town. They could have gone for a very prompt collapse onto the 2 tanks that were initially set up in the city, but instead we now get a Super Conqueror of JS nearly pushing up right next to the return, which would have been a very interesting turnout if that could have been the case here.
Yeah, I mean, comparatively to last round, much more pace down. We're not just seeing, the ego fighting coming through. Madhouse's position, what info is he going to scout? Because he could have Cindy and Rainbow on him in just a moment if he's not careful. And he's definitely looking the wrong way. Safi spotted. JS as well. So it's a lot of just tenuous, just checking, scouting, testing the waters. Yeah, Cindy and Rainbow have snuck into that position unseen and unspotted. So they might just be able to flood onto the point, Cthulhu, and play off that multiplier.
Could be the case. Very prompt approach here. Mouse in goes first as being the big damage sponge. Spots Madhouse. Twit should be joining in very soon as well as the pressure starts coming around. Rainbow and Cindy should be able to get themselves into nice hold down positions, but with Rainbow still now being tagged up quite rather heavily as well, this could be meaning quite a lot of problems as well as that. Bales should be able to find himself a nice set of shots as well to aim in, but at this stage, Panthers are now being forced to initiate the fight.
But Madhouse has just been allowed to walk up the back for free and find a reset. Twit's now going to find himself in position to threaten. This is not at all going the way I think that the Sentinels would have wanted here, Cthulhu, and I'm beginning to get increasingly more concerned about my decisions leading up to this match because the Panthers are playing Ghost Town so unbelievably well. And there you go, the multiplier there for the Sentinels. Twitter's about to go look for another reset here on Descendi. Should be able to walk away with it, and he does. Clock reset once again. There's just not enough support from the Sentinels.
Not enough indeed. Whilst we're looking at the positionings as well, right now, I mean, Sentinels seeming to be close by to each other, but still seeming to be quite isolated. I mean, the CS63 and the S-Conqueror as well around the G-line, still looking to try to find any sort of tangible impact there. But I mean, you're looking at the health pool, just actually make it 3k up for Panthers, and Twit continuing to very, very well keep on just re-swinging, keep on trading. The damage is just very excellently flowing here right now for Panthers, and for Sentinels this is looking very dicey. Cindy's about to fall here as well. Singular, one more pen through either the side or through the turret will be the end of it, but even then, yeah, look, desperation is the only thing currently being stated for Sentinels.
Panthers telling Cindy to just look at the rabbits, you'll be fine, Lenny. Unfortunately for the rest of the team, it's not. This is about to be oh dear. It's not. Look, to be fair, Panthers are making that deep cut, that run towards the top position right now, because if they win this outright, it would be 3 points on the board for them, which would mean a three-way tie with them, Action X, and I believe the Scorpions to round out Play Day 3. Which, again, you got 2 play days left after this one. Maths is easy when there's only 5 numbers to deal with. And look, the run towards the finish gets that much more exciting. And that is a flawless round for the Panthers. They don't drop a single member.
There we go. Once again, Panthers absolutely putting on a clinic there in terms of their performance. The way how they've handled, once again, their health pool there has been absolutely great in terms of just them being able to wrap it up, to be able to still, well, split the HP pool as well between each and every one of those players. I mean, we looked at the end results. Majority of those tanks had about 1,800, 1,500 HP to their name, but it was all split out evenly. Whereas you looked at the Sentinel setup during the whole Ghost Town, it was all or nothing. And it meant that you're losing the guns in the battle, you're losing the positions, you're losing just the general presence on the map, which ended up costing, well, the whole of the Ghost Town. 2-0 up for Panthers looks absolutely stunning. And I mean, when you have Critical running with a 4k damage, it's just an absolute, just phenomenal turnout. It is, though, surprising that, once again, the one player that Jordan seems to be absolutely almost creating the whole religion around, that is Bales. Well, for him, he was still able to commit a nice solid 2k damage, but it sort of gets outshined by Twits and Critical's damage output, though, despite that it's also a medium tank that he's been piloting.
Oh, how does the old copy pasta go? Cope, seethe, mold, deal with it, suck it up, princess. It's not going your way. Right now, that's me. It's not going my way. I made the call that the Sentinels were going to be looking good tonight, but the Panthers say, no, you can't do that to us, Panda. You got to back us. We're looking just as good as anyone else, and right now, I'd have to agree with that statement. The Panthers are looking on fire right now. The fact that they walked away from that last round not dropping a single player, despite the likes of Return doing 3.1k damage on the dot. Ghost Town, an absolute lockout for the Panthers. Cthulhu, Muravanka. Now that you know, now that you've seen, Panthers up 2-0 after map 1. How does Muravanka fare, do you reckon? Especially looking back at this. You look at how the Panthers played everything. They really, I mean, the fact that Crit got out there. I mean, realistically, he could have been overwhelmed and overrun. He still holds on. He still does the damage. Oh, wow. POV inside a POV inside. I heard you like POVs inside your POVs, Cthulhu.
Definitely enjoying my POVs inside POVs. But look, yeah, I gotta say Muravanka could be an absolute banger here, I reckon, because whilst the Panthers still have a really nice advantage here over their opponents, I think Muravanka could go bit of either way, really. Remembering some of the older performances, things looked a bit rough for Panthers there, especially when they were even taking on likes of Matildas as well. So I'd say for Sentinels, this is going to be their last chance to really do anything, really, and get themselves into the overall swing of things. Whereas you look at the Panthers, this is the grand opportunity to really put the final nail into the coffin of the Sentinels, at least for this week. Put an upset, give Jordan one big L in terms of the predictions, and well...
Oh, Cthulhu, yeah. We would be in the bid as well. Why are we just beating on Jordan? We need to worry about ourselves.
I don't care about my predictions. That's the thing. I'm just enjoying the action. I'm enjoying the chaos here.
How's your butt there, man? Is it a bit sore? You know, sitting on the fence all day. You know, not picking his side. Just, I don't care. Yeah, you do. Whatever. Don't lie to me. We've been doing this too long, Cthulhu. We head to Muravanka, and this is it for the Sentinels. If they drop this one, the season could be in question for them. They would have to make a deep playoffs cut if they find themselves locked out of the top 3. And, oh boy, that would be an interesting turnaround from the absolutely dominating factor that they have been in the past to find themselves in this situation.
Okay. Sentinels looking to bring out the Wheezy 111.5As, a bit of an echo from the old times. And that tank was one of the meta ones, similar way how nowadays is the S-Conks, the IS-7s, and the 277s, as well as that a batch at 25T Fort Safi as well. The absolutely maddening tank in terms of the damage output if you're able to connect all the shots. But this one for Panthers, they're looking to play off the back of the the one flag, which has seen probably arguably one of the most amount of just changes in terms of the map layout, and the position should allow here for Crit and Twit to sit in a nice hold down position, but a very speedy approach though coming in from Sentinels.
What have I done to displease the Sentinels, Cthulhu? I must know. I'll be definitely asking that after the fact. But right now, yeah, it's an early gambit onto the one flag. They've pulled off it now, completely forsaken Crit. He's just getting pummeled here by Rainbow. It seems that, you know, the Wheezy pickup might be exactly what they needed, but there is a big overmatch here. Potentially a 4 versus 2 under Cindy and Rainbow, and they don't have immediate support. It would be the long-range Superconk setting those shots from returned. And Madhouse, he's going to get the shot into Rainbow and back himself off safely.
Again, this is one of the few maps that Madhouse was able to actually clutch up absolutely insanely. So, look, maybe this is the way he gets to shine one more time. Almost evening out with that shot, the health pool differential right now. Ooh, Twit and Critical about to meet Rainbow there. And yeah, look, the IS-7 turret is very, very trolly. So you could do some absolutely nutty gaming there. For Twit, though, well, copying 2 shots back, not the most fortunate situation, but as it stands right now, ooh, I was about to say it would have been a good position, but with that Ignite, that is goodbye Twit and goodbye 2k HP.
I'm feeling a little bit better now, Cthulhu. I mean, unfortunately, I'm not going to get my channel points back because I voted for an outright win from the Sentinels, but no, they had to mess around a little bit and drag it out. Oh, well, it is what it is. But, look, I think this will be a very, very, you know, telling map. If they can find that, momentum, they can rejuvenate and get themselves to a tiebreaker and pull out that win off the back of it, then I think we start to get our answer that no, it probably isn't that fall off that we've talked about, and that the Sentinels are just a little bit cold. I think it'd be the best way to describe it. Madhouse is just getting absolutely pummeled right now.
Yeah. Crit as well, getting a little bit too overly ambitious with his play. Safi as well, fully now reloaded and continues to just pump out the damage, which means the end of the first round of Moravanka is looking to be the end of it all. And, well, yep, Crit is just going to try to just at least chuck in one more shot of damage, but unfortunately that is not the case. Madhouse and Bales being the last two remaining players, unfortunately for them, that is basically GG for this round. Unfortunate for Panthers, very fortunate though for Sentinels, and like I said before, this is a great opportunity for the comeback. Sentinels, they have the ability to have a good mental fortitude as well, so it wouldn't be over until, well, it is a 3rd point there.
Bales is just tucked into a corner of the map, and Safi buddy, he's going to cop a big shot there, but realistically, he should be in a position to find this with some support. Help him, guys. Come on. Low roll there. 58-19 and Bale. Safi just pulls that one out. I mean, realistically, wouldn't have mattered too much because he had multiple teammates in the wings ready to assist, but the medium tank mano a mano ego up goes to Safi.
Yeah, look, the Batchat is a phenomenal tank when you do allow it to really play around with that clip damage that it can bring out. And I mean, the mobility plus the camo value that it does bring with it as well will be able to even sometimes outmatch some of the light tanks, really. So the way how really Safi was able to just play around the Magic Forest basically free of charge was basically the huge win condition. Without that extra crossfire, that would have been a completely different name of the game. And for Panthers, it could have been potentially that 3rd point. But look, they still can really bring in the upset. They could still wrap it all up. Matter of fact, they have still all the perfect opportunities. And Moravanka being one of those maps that you could still make work even in the late game. There's still a possibility for that. But Sentinel's certainly looking much more activated comparative to what it was on Ghost Town.
The unfortunate thing being, though, Cthulhu, is they're not out of the dire straits yet. There is still a possibility that this is a Panthers series. They could still close it out at 3-1. And Safi, 54 in damage output. He hit 92.9% of his shots, but he penned every single last one of them. 130 on the fantasy. So big numbers there. And unfortunately, your man Crit, 18.1. Him and JS struggling a little bit there.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate there, really, for Crit. But seeing as how really the whole push was orchestrated there from Sentinels, it definitely felt a little bit like Panthers may have gotten a little bit too keen, too maybe overconfident on some of the plays. That rotation straight away and abandonment of the flag 1 certainly didn't play a whole lot of favors. And yeah, look at this position from Safi. This is a perfect position. Double bush as well, so he wouldn't get spotted from the range. And just farmlands, really.
Oh, that was the ignite there too. What a shot onto Twit. The sniper himself, Safi. Wow, he played that.
Well.
He played that so well from range. And I think this is, we're starting to see some of that form from the Sentinels that we know that they're capable of. This is what happens when Sentinels play their game in Vales. He was trying for it. He wanted it so desperately. Oh, he had the shot too, but it missed.
Almost there. But look, I mean, with Moravanka providing this much of a cover as well for the medium tank gaming as well, I get a feeling that we will be seeing much more frequently the Batchat 25T to make appearance, given just the sheer amount of flexibility it allows. And if your team is not really posing to do a lot of scouting themselves, well, that's the perfect opportunity to make those plays similar to what just Safi pulled off. So now going into round 2, now this is where Sentinels have to really dictate the pace. It is them on the attack. They could really flip the whole script upside down, really. They could either go for just the full-on mobility, introduce the I7s, the 277s, maybe a one chonker in terms of either the E100 or the mouse, or they could try to replicate the similar success, introduce the bat chat yet again, and try to play for just 2 fronts.
Well, Cthulhu, it's do or die here for the Sentinels. They need to win this round just to push to Himmelsdorf, just for a chance to win the series. For the Panthers, though, if they win it here, they propel themselves into a 3-way tie with Action X and the Scorpions for first place, which leads us into a very exciting final 2 weeks of play. But we have the T110, E5, in the side of the Sentinels on this attack.
Okay.
The Maus as well on the attack. So, Sentinels, have a plan. Will it work?
Definitely the question of all the times, really. A little bit unsure about the choice of the E5, seeing as in the current meta, that tank is definitely far from being one of the more meta ones, but certainly the low profile of the tank can be quite trollish in terms of how much of a pressure you can keep on applying. So curious to see how will that really come to fruition. Once again, the very similar position that I believe it was JS and Critical tried to take in the previous round, but this time a much more fortified one. This time an S-Conk to back up as well on the 1 line, and no pressure whatsoever from the Panthers. Instead, a double IS-7 push through the town is looking to take place here.
Ooh, lovely little shot there onto Madhouse in the back lines of the Sentinels, providing that coverage, and returned on this Super Conk has been rather impressive today. Man is an absolute sniping demon, which, I mean, again, it's a tank. There's only so much sniping you do. But Cindy might find himself in trouble. He's going to find himself at the sights of JS and Twit. So he's going to try and apply that bullet sponge mentality and soak up the damage. 30 seconds on the clock as a reset did come through, it seems, onto Rainbow. He's in a bit of trouble right now. They are trying to make this one work where, again, the reset's coming through. No, sorry, it's not even a reset. Rainbow's had to pull off the point because he's found the crossfire's found him.
Yeah, the crossfire found him. There's also the CS as well coming around from Bales as well, looking to keep on applying even more pressure. They want to eliminate Cindy as quickly as possible with minimal losses here. JS taking some pretty hefty shots. 34 seconds for just only 1-man capture, and that is Safi, who's currently dug in. Bales, though, finally shuts down Cindy. It's now the E5 of, well, Dell. Now on the cards, 2,000 HP, 1,600. It's all ticking away. It looks like Panthers might have a decent understanding, but Critical needs to stay alive here, and Safi doesn't look to really back away from this fight.
I mean, Safi takes a minimal damage from that shot, but it's all the difference maker. The reset to come through. 3 players to the 5 of the Panthers. The health pool difference is 700, but that's not going to matter, Cthulhu. It's about the guns on the ground. Crit, he's still alive. 20 HP in a dream. They're going to finish him off, but the return gets shut down in kind. Madhouse with a massive shot in the face of Rainbow. In a 2 versus 4 to try and clutch up and keep their series hopes alive. Production, we're never letting them in the script room again because this is just ridiculous.
Oh my. The trade, the punch for punch, though Madhouse might fall here if he doesn't line up his shot well enough, and Bales is the one to find the finisher. Yeah, Panda. It seems like Panthers will be causing the upset. This is a 3-1 scoreline, a full 3-pointer taken away from Sentinels. And the Matilda's dreams all of a sudden for the first place still seeming to be staying alive.
Someone look after my points, please. 250,000 down the drain. Wow, what a night. There's a reason I don't go to the casino. It's pretty simple stuff. Cthulhu, the Panthers find themselves the regulation victory in a rather impressive way. The Sentinels, though, find themselves in a pretty rough spot going into this, last 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, rough gig indeed. Definitely the top positions are now going to be a little bit more difficult to really come to find. But look, this is a very, very interesting season already as it is. We started off with an upset courtesy of Matildas. Now it's the Panthers that are seemingly going through the glow up, through the rise in their performance, and it has been an absolute pleasure watching them perform.
Well, I mean, we started the day and there was potential for the Matildas to, solidify themselves as the top of the table team. Unfortunately, that has not happened, and now it's anyone's game. And you look at the numbers, you look at the damage across the board. Impressive stuff from the Panthers. Bales back to his form that we know he's capable of. On that CS, 2 eliminations, 3,600 damage. The guy got some distance as well. He was traveling. And just again, we
moving.
find ourselves questioning: is this potentially the end of the Sentinels era?
Could very much be here, Panda. This is all looking to just be a pretty tightly knit leaderboard as well by the end of it all. Look, I gotta say, going into this matchup, I was not expecting a outright full-on win by Panthers, but by all means, absolutely, I am looking forward to some of the more matches because now this is looking like the Panthers are rejuvenated for Sentinels. That last loss was not a fluke. It was not just that one team that manages to beat them. It's seeming like the cracks are starting to form here in their structure.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of structure, Panthers had that in spades. I mean, the team shot damage was impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Even the individual performances were rather terrifying to behold. For the majority of that, the day, you're coming into it, you're like, yeah, Sentinels should be the ones to lock it out. Round 1 of map 1 goes the way of the Panthers. You start to question. Round 2 goes the way of the Panthers. If you're a Sentinels fan, you are sweating buckets by this point. They bring back round 1 of Maravanka, and unfortunately, that's about as much success as they found throughout their best of 3 series tonight. But I mean, Cthulhu. Wow. Wow. This shakes everything up going into the last 2 weeks of play.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is now making things a whole lot spicier, really, because, I mean, we are looking at the leaderboard that is going to be shaken up to the absolute fullest. Not only we are looking at the standings that will be absolutely flipped upside down with the Sentinels possibly sitting in the middle of the leaderboard now, which is absolutely unheard of over the past sort of few seasons. And we are now looking at possibilities that, if before Sentinels would be going into the playoffs with at least the opportunity to have a second sort of chance for the play, next time, these playoffs, they may only be going with only one chance to make it into the LAN.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You're looking at a Sentinels team which last year dominated the competition from start to finish. Yeah, they finished second seed going into the LAN playoffs, just below the Scorpions, to a team which now, look, I'm intrigued. We're not going to go there just yet, but their standing on the leaderboard has become a very, very tenuous one all of a sudden. In fact, yeah, I'm not even going to begin to speculate on the possibilities of where he could potentially be, because that's scheduled for some other time. But Cthulhu, the Panthers, they're tied first currently, which is the wild thing.
That's the beauty of it all. Look, for Panthers, this is a phenomenal timeline right now, and being able to cop a win like this against, not Scorpions, pardon me, Sentinels, is a phenomenal turnout already.
And Cthulhu, a man who was integral to the performance for the Panthers, some would even say critical to the performance of the Panthers. He's joining us here now, mate. Crit, run us through it. You've done me dirty. You've done everyone bar production dirty in the predictions. What went into the matchup today, knowing full well that you were taking on the Sentinels?
I think that because we're playing Rainbow, we had to do some really dumb stuff today. Right. And JS is really good at that. So it's sort of like our perfect play, to be honest, is dumb stuff against Rainbow with JS calling. So it can't go better than that.
Can't get better than that. Yeah, look, fair enough. Run us through the Muravanka, because things definitely looked a little bit sort of paced down comparative to what we got to see from you guys during the Ghost Town, and obviously with the first round sort of going the rather unfortunate way how it went for you. What was sort of the call for round 2? Is it just sort of wait for reaction from Sentinels and then send the IS-7s, or what was the play?
So we were playing somewhat reactionary. We was pretty spread out in the south. And we noticed at the start they didn't have a light tank, so they weren't going to play Forest in the east. So we could play more aggressive with our CS. That let us get the east really fast, and then we weren't too worried about cap, because once you control mid and you control the one line, you're chilling. You can get resets from everywhere. So the calls and the comms were hectic, but we were in control the whole time, and it was just a matter of time until the HB sort of swung in our favor. Because whilst they were coming in with mouses at the start, we were always going to bring it back with the map control we had.
Now, Crit, I do have one more question, and there is one of the lovely things that I love about being here doing ANZPL is there is a certain level of banter that you guys have nailed in terms of how to approach your competition. You're tied first right now with two other teams. How confident are you that you can hold on to first place and smoke the rest of these, these lesser gamers, so to speak?
That's a nice way to think. I've been first in the ladder before, 2 seasons ago, and then by the end of the season we were fourth, and we got knocked out first round in the playoffs. So you can never be too sure. We're playing well. Everyone's synergizing well. So I'm not going to count my chickens while they hatch, as Pinger says. But yeah, we're doing good.
Well, look, it was a great game. It was a wonderful series to watch there, Crit. We'll give it over to you. Anyone you'd like to shout out before we let you head off?
Yeah, shout out to JS's female parental figure. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Awesome. We look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks. Crit, have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Cthulhu, it's been a day, and
it's been a day.
It makes me nauseous to say this, but production are the ones to come out on top of Playday number 3. That's not something that I ever thought I would say. I told you, we need to put a padlock on this script room, Cthulhu. We can't just let them walk in and change the results. Speaking of, let's have a look back at the night and see how this absolute insanity played out. Match 1, Adelaide Action X, 3-1 Matildas, South Sydney Scorpions. The only matchup that went the way it should have. 3-1 Wellington Wolverines, and then to close it out, the Perth Panthers take down the North Sydney Sentinels. Not at all what I would have called to start the day off.
Yeah, look, I mean, it was always sort of a bit of a 50-50 really between the Melbourne Matildas and Action X, both teams showing some great amount of potential and the possibilities. So that one, yeah, look, I wouldn't have been able to fully confidently predict, but yeah, look, the last two matches definitely felt like Scorpions and Sentinels would have been the ones to come out with a win. Only Scorpions did manage to close it all out really, really nicely, but look, yeah, for Sentinels, definitely... even more questions are now being asked about their performance.
Well, Cthulhu, I have some news on the fantasy side. Elfish Guy is up into the top 10, but we don't care about that. You and I, thick as thieves, within 2 places of each other. I'm not going to say where, because we don't need that level of embarrassment. We don't need Twitch chat hunting us down. Let's have a look at the predictions, though. Let's give production their dues, I suppose. At the end of the day, they came out trumps with 2 of 3 correct. Actually, Elfish got 2 as well. So, yeah, look, I suppose we can let them have that one. Yeah. All right, guys, I'll see you at LAN, okay? All right, no, this is not on. 1v1 me, Prokhorov, we'll see what goes down. But Cthulhu, I mean, the real interesting graphic that I want to have a look at right now is the team standings at the end of Playday 3. Because of all the predictions, fantasy, forget that. This has got to be the spiciest one because you look at it. 3-way tie, top of the table. 3 teams on 6 points. Melbourne Matildas in 4th. North Sydney Sentinels in 5th. Cthulhu, the possibility that if the North Sydney Sentinels do not win a single series for the remainder of the round robin, and Wellington Wolverine pull out 2 wins. 2 wins. That could be 1 outright win and 1 tiebreaker win. They would then take the final playoff spot.
Well, that will still imply that the 4th and 5th place will not get any traction for themselves whatsoever. But look, yeah, there's possibilities galore. Honestly, yeah, between Scorpions, Action X, and Panthers, it's the huge right now tiebreaker really, and I'm looking forward to it all, honestly, because I mean, with the game that Action X, Panthers, and Scorpions been playing, it is going to be a heated conclusion of the regular season and then the playoffs as well.
Now, to be fair, obviously it's not technically a 3-way tie. It is obviously South Sydney Scorpions first, then Adelaide Action X, and then Perth Panthers, because, of course, if you remember, Scorpions beat Action X beat Panthers, so it's the head-to-head that ultimately decides where they're sitting. But with 2 players remaining, a total of 6 points up for grabs for each of these teams, Cthulhu. What do you think? Do you think there is that chance for a last-minute deep-cut run from the Wellington Wolverines to make it into playoffs and potentially deny the likes of North Sydney Sentinels or the Melbourne Matildas?
Look, there's still some possibilities. I still will believe in Wolverines, at least to be able to pull off at least one of the upsets. But I think at this point they can just they can play spoiler here, and well, be able to completely either nullify one of the team's opportunities to make it to the higher seedings.
Well, I mean, the crazy thing at the minute, the North Sydney Sentinels go from absolute kings over the last couple of seasons to potentially having to run the full gambit of the playoffs bracket just to get back to the position. But Cthulhu, it all starts next week. Of course, our matches to start off play day number 4. That is where that journey begins. To start things off, it's the Melbourne Matildas versus the Wellington Wolverines. It'll be, to be fair, off the back of a loss like the Melbourne Matildas suffered, Wellington Wolverines could capitalise. Then we head to the North Sydney Sentinels, taking on Adelaide Action X, and then round it out with... Now, given what we've seen, this has to be my match of week 4, which is the Perth Panthers taking on the South Sydney Scorpions.
Honestly, I'm looking forward to both the last and the second to last matchup, because for Sydney Sentinels, this is going to be almost a historical matchup. Last time Adelaide Action X and Sentinels played against each other, especially in the regular season, Action X were able to beat them as well. So will this be the matchup to put yet another nail into the proverbial coffin for Sentinels, or will Sentinels be able to come back? That's the one storyline that I really want to see sort of develop even further. But yes, look, the Panthers versus Scorpions, now that is going to be a juicy.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, Cthulhu. And I mean, look, Water Tanks, there is still more action over the next week to discuss. It is not just PL that's going on. Of course, we have those B-League matches. I'm off this Monday. You'll be back with, I believe it's CJ and Dongalords for that coverage. I'm taking a week off. But the Brisbane Bulldogs take on the Canberra Centurions for match 1. Hawthorn Hellcats and the Auckland Archers go toe-to-toe in week 2. And then the Bundaberg Badgers taking on the Lismore Leopards. And Cthulhu, would you believe, Auckland Archers are looking to find some form.
Look, I mean, after their recent win, that has been absolutely huge, really. Yeah, look, I mean, the sky's the limit there for them.
It really is, and look, I'll be honest, between a Hellcat and an Archer, I kind of take the Archer because, I mean, Hellcat's got to get a bit closer than an Archer does. Cthulhu, though, there is our counterparts over in Japan as well that are going to be carrying on the evening with some more Water Tanks action. If you're keen, you're not done. Your thirst isn't slaked just yet. You can jump on over there. It'll be following this broadcast pretty quickly after. And it's the Thunderbirds taking on the Foxes first, followed by the Crows versus the Bulls, and then rounding out the evening, the Krakens versus the Sharks. So an aquatic showdown to round out the evening. Promises to be quite a spicy one at that, Cthulhu. Come on. Like, we've got to make it happen. We've got to make it happen. ANZ versus Japan win. Surely, yeah. Look, I mean, I'm all for it. I'm keen to see how all that really happened. But look, I suppose until then, we get to progress our own storylines with the way how we might just see the fall of the dynasty, and well, we'll be crowning potentially the champions if the pacing will go the way how it currently goes. But look, we still got quite a fair few of the weeks, fair few games to bear witness. So the script could be flipped upside down in a matter of just a couple of weeks. Well, you know what, Cthulhu? I'm taking a week off next week. I'm going to be the one guarding the script room so production can't sneak in and change results on us. But for us here, Play Day 3, we're done and dusted. Next week, we start the run towards the finish line. And, of course, that land playoffs in Sydney. Cthulhu, I could not be more excited for ANZPL. But for us here, we are done. We are dusted. We're throwing it over to Japan. If you're keen for it, hang around, stick around. We'll see you next week.
I've been thinking